Today we're gonna talk about the Steam controller situation. And what I'm gonna go through the comments here on this post. I wanted to make a video about this so bad last week, but I was busy. So let's talk about it. We're gonna do it live while I change the strings of my guitar, okay? Because I've been practicing my guitar a lot. That's why I haven't uploaded a lot of videos. But let's get into it. Look, let me read some comments here. Let me start by saying, look, if you are excited about the Steam controller, I get it. There's no other controller ever in the history of controller making that has those two trackpads, okay? Yeah, of course you have the Steam Deck and all that. And you have the original Steam controller that had two of those, but it didn't have the joystick. So the whole package, I get it. I was going to buy a Steam controller myself. It was a no-brainer until I learned, someone told me here in the chat, did you know that the Steam controller is only 250 hertz polling rate? And I'm like, no way. Why? It just doesn't make any sense. It's like you build a Lamborghini and it only has an eco mode. Look, polling rate makes an absolutely huge difference, even beyond 1000 hertz polling rate. And I'm gonna give you a perfect example with two controllers that I bought. The one was 1000 hertz and the other one was exactly the same, but 2000 hertz polling rate. Huge difference. Absolutely huge difference. Basically, I bought the same controller 2 times because of that. So let's get into it. I'm gonna read some of the comments here. First, this is what I said. You know my take already on it. 1000 hertz polling rate doesn't make any sense. That's going to give you low resolution on the sticks. Yes, low resolution. It's gonna be below 1000, probably 250, 500 at best, maybe. No clicky triggers for FPS games. Why? That's a no-brainer. Like every single controller today has clicky triggers. You cannot miss that. That's like a must feature that all controllers have to have. And it doesn't have top buttons and $100. No. Okay, this is just no. It's bad. Okay, this now if this controller was $40, yeah, $40. The gyroscope, I do agree. The gyroscope is another reason to consider this. But again, 250 hertz polling rate. Does that matter for the gyroscope? Yes, it does matter. Okay, big time matters. So it might be even worse than 250 hertz. The gyroscope could be 125 hertz. Even worse. Actually, right now, Steam has an issue with the gyroscope that it caps the polling rate to 125. That's bad. Okay, that is really bad. The only gyroscope that I have seen that works well, that is fast enough, precise enough, is the 8K G7 Pro, and it runs at 8K. Big difference. Okay, now let's talk about it. Let's get into it, because I see some people think the polling rate is a marketing gimmick, that it doesn't matter. Some people think that, let's read the comments. Look, let's go through the comments here. And by the way, let me know if you can hear me well. How's it going? Stormborn Turtle. Cuya Rio, how's it going? David, what sticks does the Steam controller have? TMR. Yeah, it does have some TMR joysticks. But here's the thing. Look, let's read the comments. Let's get into this. So Honestly, the most attractive feature is the trackpads. I totally agree. I mean, that's the reason why you would buy that controller. It's a very unique feature that we don't have anywhere else. And definitely, that's why I wanted to buy this controller, because I use a TV. Like, I hate using the keyboard and mouse while playing on my TV. Me too. So that this was gonna be my controller. Okay. I don't need a mouse. I can use a trackpad like a laptop. Great for controlling the PC. Now, can you still do that at 250 hertz poly rate? Yeah, you can do that. Is it gonna be feeling unresponsive and you cannot control the PC? No, of course not. It's gonna be fine. But $100 for a mouse, for that, I mean, it's just too much. Doesn't make any sense. So yeah, let's see. Let's see. Control. I'm gonna go through the comments that people who disagree with me. Okay, so let's get it clear the situation. So let's see. Okay. So let's check this out. So you can program this full pull of trigger with added vibration, but besides shooters, I do not see much of a point, unless you can set shooting separately from other actions for this button. 250 hertz is probably for battery life. I do agree with that. But the thing is, look, you can have 8,000 hertz polling rate, where you can have the options to lower the polling rate to save battery, if that's what you want to do. So, having a high polling rate doesn't mean you cannot have the option to save battery. So, but I do agree that a lower polling rate is gonna make the battery last longer. That's for sure. But I would never sacrifice performance for battery life, because I'm not gonna be playing the whole day. And if the battery life, if it goes down to 0, I just plug in the controller and keep playing. I want the best performance all the time, and of course, I most of the time I just wire the controllers, because it does make a difference. When you wire the controller, they just feel better. It's just better. So, isn't polling rate a way to having lower latency? According to Gamers Nexus, the Steam controller is not far from high-end gaming mice in terms of latency, so pretty impressive for a gamepad. No, it is not close to high-end gaming mice, okay? It's not even close. Look, Gamers Nexus is not a controller reviewer. He didn't know about TMR joysticks. That is not his thing. Now, Gamers Nexus does have a lot of ways and equipment and knowledge to test latency, and he did a good job. But look, I've been focused on controllers and buying different controllers and trying them out for like 4 months, and I feel like I know a little bit better than Gamers Nexus. Okay, so he is not a reference when it comes to controller reviews, and he was not using for comparison better controllers. He was using as a reference point the Xbox, regular controller, like first party controllers that absolutely suck. I mean, the Xbox controller is like, it's not recommended at all. It's not a good controller to have as a reference. So that's just not relevant. Now, we'll talk about latency of the sticks, latency of the controller, the polling rate, the resolution of the sticks, and all of that. I'm going to clear the situation, okay? But let's go and read these comments to see where the confusion comes from, okay? And I'm going to read your comments too here. So let's see. What controller would I recommend that has amazing sticks, low latency for PC gaming, ideally something with its own dongle and no Bluetooth? Right now, I don't recommend anything. See, like, there's no perfect controller right now. That's a very hard question right now. I agree. I said many of these things and was flamed by many saying $100 is cheap and they are willing to pay over double. Super disappointed. Yeah, this argument that the DualSense Edge is $200, then that means that the Steam controller is a good value. That's just next level nonsense. Okay, the DualSense Edge at $200 is a scam. makes no sense and no one should buy it. Yes, it has the haptic feedback and the adaptive triggers. Most of the controllers out there don't have that. Why? Because it's a proprietary Sony technology that they do not let third-party companies use. That doesn't make it a better controller. It's like the Apple formula. You make something proprietary because you have control over the market, you have control over the game developers to develop a game using your features and all of that, and then you don't let anyone else use it. That's not a clean way to win, okay? That's just winning by force. The DualSense Edge absolutely sucks. $200 is a scam. I haven't seen a single controller that's worth $200, okay? The most you should pay for a controller is $100, $120, and that's a stretch, okay? So yeah, and also DualSense Edge comes with low polling rate and just potentiometer sticks, which will drift, and yeah, you can replace them. You can pay Sony $20 for the sticks every 6 months, and that's what they want. You buy a $200 controller, and then your sticks are going to drift every 6 months, and you keep buying sticks for replacement. Yeah, but you can get some TMR joysticks. Yeah, at $60. So you have a $300 controller with TMR joysticks that do not perform at its full potential because the controller has a low polling rate. So you're limited to 8 bits and very low resolution. That doesn't make any sense. You have a $300 controller that doesn't have the best input lag, doesn't have the highest resolution on the sticks, and it's just handicapped by Sony for no reason. Even if you increase the polling rate, which is possible, you can use Lord of Mice, a third-party program, to increase the polling rate. That's not gonna fix anything. Okay, this is not going to make the sticks have suddenly all the performance. It's still limited to 8 bits. So that's just total nonsense. Yeah, and they're on arrival because of the price tag. Yeah, everything is about price. I mean, if the Steam controller again was $40, yeah, sure. I mean, it still doesn't make any sense why it's only 250 hertz. But yeah, $40, who cares? I mean, that's irrelevant money for a controller. Okay, let's look at this comment here. Apparently, polling rate isn't everything. You're absolutely right. Polling rate isn't everything, but I'm gonna explain you why 250 is bad. The most important factor is the motherboard lag. You're right. That is very important. Very, very important. And I'm gonna put you the perfect example. You can have 5,000 hertz budget controller, but if they went cheap with the motherboard, the controller will have worse lag. I don't think it's a matter of cost. I think it's a matter of incompetence. There are very cheap controllers out there that have incredible input lag. We're talking about $20, $30 controller that have a board that's super fast, very low input lag and 1,000 hertz polling rate. So I don't think it's a matter of price. I think it's a matter of competence and paying attention to that. The base Xbox controllers has like 8 milliseconds, something like that. PS5 controllers a little bit better. They do have low input lag. Not the best, but yeah, the input lag is not bad, even when the polling rate is low. But I wouldn't say the motherboard is high quality or the chips or anything like that. But let's talk about that. And also he mentions that the higher polling rate taxes the CPU, which is true, which they probably don't want a Steam machine. That's a good point. It's definitely a good point. But it's not a big deal. I have already looked into it. On my PC, it makes no difference, of course, 9800X3D. But even on lower end CPUs that are good for games. So here's the thing. If you try an 8,000 hertz polling rate on a PC that cannot run a game, of course, this is not gonna work. But if you have a PC that can run Black Myth Wukong at 60 FPS, 8,000 hertz polling rate is not a problem. Now, if you lower the polling rate to 500 hertz, yes, if you are struggling with the CPU, you might get a little bit better performance. A little bit, but it is so imperceptible. that in 99.9% of all the games, it's not gonna make any difference. So it's not a big deal. See, the situation with let's make the polling rate lows to save battery and to save CPU power, it's not a justification that's worth justifying that low polling rate. So let's see. I'm gonna clear all this and then I'm gonna read your comments. Okay, so also, what's the bit rate of the controller? I was switching from 8 bits to 12 bits. Okay, most of the reviews out there at the very beginning, before I made this post, they were coming from influencers and from reviewers that don't review controllers. So they never show what's the bitness of the sticks. They never show the usual testing, basically the test apps that you get from Gamepad LA, basically. So we're talking about reviewers that most likely they were not even aware that we have this website where you get all that info, you can download the apps, and you can basically show a stick analyzer, something as basic as that. So yeah, I didn't know what was the bitness of the sticks. But even if it was 12 bits, 250 hertz polling rate is going to limit the resolution that the sticks can have. And that's one of the reasons why it absolutely sucks. And I'm gonna tell you exactly, on my experience, what are the numbers on paper that we need for a controller to be very good and to be one that you should consider buying. And it's definitely not the Steam controller. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Now here, Astria, he seems to have experience with gyro stuff, and he tells me that 250 hertz gyro can be just fine. It is a complex issue, but basically that's not why gyro feel good or bad on a controller. Like some of the most recommended gyro controllers turn out to run at 120 hertz actually. But if it is well implemented, there's no jank or issue. Even lower rates, 250 should be just fine. The older Steam controller was already good, so it would be silly to have worse gyro. The Grip Sense is also purpose built for gyro aiming. It's a gyro controller at the end. You are expected to use it in all games through Steam input. Now here's the thing with the gyro. The most important thing about gyro is to be able to customize it, to fine-tune it, to nail the settings. Because it doesn't matter how good the performance of the gyro is, if when you're holding the controller, the whole camera is shaking. And you have to add a dead zone, and then when you add a dead zone, you lose the fine-tuning, and when you move it too fast, it doesn't work. So the ability to nail the settings by having, for example, the ability to use the Steam calibration for the gyro and all the gyro settings that you have on Steam, that is very important. But that doesn't negate the fact that a higher polling rate is gonna be better for gyro, for mouse, for the sticks, for the buttons, for absolutely everything. Absolutely everything. And he was also mentioning that there is some gyro controllers have like a kind of interpolation or something like that that might work, like to smooth out the stuttering that you would have with a 125 hertz gyro. That's interesting. I've first time I hear about that. Okay, here it is. 250 hertz doesn't matter. What's more important is the end-to-end latency, which appears to be excellent, wired, and wireless. Wrong. Big time wrong. That's not how it works, okay? And I tell you by experience, okay? Many of the controllers that I have, I can lower the polling rate. And I have seen the latency numbers with that low polling rate. For example, the Machinike F1 controller that I have has probably the lowest input lag of any controller ever created at 125 hertz, 250, and you keep going up. So even at a very low polling rate, the input lag is better than the majority of the controllers at 1000 hertz polling rate. So you might think, well, that's better, right? You have better input lag. With a lower polling rate, you're saving more battery, you're straining less the CPU, so you get better performance in your game. So that's better, right? So the goal then would be to have the best performance at the lowest polling rate, right? Wrong. Okay, that's not how it works. I'm gonna tell you why. See, look, what is the polling rate? The polling rate is basically the frequency in which the PC is getting an update from the controller inputs. Now, what happens is, if the board of the controller doesn't have new updated coordinates or input information about the controller, increasing the polling rate doesn't improve things. So you do want the controller to have a very fast board that has that info, new updated info, at a lower frequency, at a higher frequency. But what happens is, when you have a low polling rate, the biggest thing that gets affected is the resolution of the sticks, the precision of the sticks, and how the motion looks on your display. And I was not big into controllers at the very beginning of this channel. I didn't know anything about them. But I was focused on motion clarity, CRTs, plasma, BFI on my LG C1. So motion clarity has always been my focus. Understanding the blur Buster's law and all of that. So the number one thing that blew me away about these third-party controllers that have TMR joysticks or capacitive at 1000 hertz polling rate and beyond was that the motion clarity was looking better on my TV that is only 144 hertz. So I'm like, if the motion looks better here, it's just gonna be incredible on my 360 hertz monitor, and it is. It's a big difference. So what I'm saying right now is that I can tell the difference very clearly in the motion I see on my display, all the way from 125 hertz to 8000 hertz. That's right, I can tell the difference in two of the controllers I have that are 8000 hertz polling rate. From 4000 to 8000 hertz polling rate, I can see the difference on the display. Now, can I feel the difference on the sticks? That is harder. And I can try aim laps, some test with a small targets to see. It's very, very hard. Okay, and here's the problem with having an opinion and all of this. We're talking about numbers that are very small. The differences are very small. Sometimes even increasing the polling rate from 4000 to 8000 doesn't give you a better latency on the sticks. Sometimes it goes down a little bit as an average. Not the peak, but as an average. So the problem is with people, for example, trying aim laps, trying the grid shot. Like, for example, trying a test that's just big targets and you're moving your stick to big targets and comparing polling rates and different controllers and all that. That test is not going to show the difference. And I have seen reviews. I recently saw a review about the 8K, G7 8K. And the reviewer lowered the polling rate to 1000 hertz and lowered the bits of the sticks to 8 bits. So basically, he intentionally made the controller worse. And now the score and aim laps, it went up. Now, why? Because if he keeps the same settings, he just keep trying, it wouldn't matter anyway. So your performance with the controller is the thing that's gonna matter the most. I mean, obviously, a better controller is gonna make you play better. It's gonna allow you to play better. But a skill is the thing that matters the most. Okay, I have a small kid on the family that he can aim way better than me, and he wins at Fortnite all the time. He's a monster player, and he was playing with a regular Xbox controller, with an Xbox. So that's not even close to a performance I see on my PC with my controllers, and he can play better than me. And he didn't even have back buttons, so he had to go from moving the sticks to pressing a button, and terrible technique, right? So your skills matter the most. And I'm gonna tell you, before I got any of these third-party controllers with my DualSense, I could not play FPS games at all, not even single-player games. I sucked, and I'm not great right now either. But once I got more practice with third-party controllers and I improved my aiming, now I went back to the DualSense and it wasn't that bad. I could actually play with the DualSense. It wouldn't be great, but I could play. So when you see a reviewer that shows you a very high, aim lapse score after lowering the polling rate and lowering the bitness of the sticks, that doesn't mean anything. That's just he is very good. He can do it even with garbage controller with worse performance. But obviously, lowering the polling rate and the resolution of the sticks is not better. It's gonna make your controller worse. Now, here's the thing. When you're actually playing a game and you are using aim assist is going to snap harder into targets the worse the sticks are. So it just blows my mind that we have out there on YouTube, we have so many controller fans, people who like to buy controllers and collect them, and they buy every single controller that comes out there. They make a video, they're excited about it, and what they do is they lower the resolution of the sticks to have more aim assist, more aggressive aim assist. So then my question is, why are you even buying newer, better, faster, more precise controllers if you're going to nerf the performance of the controller to use aim assist? Why are you even buying new controllers? It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter at all. So it is just total nonsense. My recommendation is try to get the fastest, most precise controller and turn off aim assist. Just get good. But I get it. People want to be able to compete, and it's very hard to compete against mouse and keyboard players who will always have an advantage, no matter what. So at the end of the day, controllers are about enjoying the game. They are about you being able to chill on your couch, your big TV, having that vibration give you a feedback and just enjoying playing the game. That's it. It's not about being the absolute best. Now, some people do have an absolutely insane skill using a controller, and they can definitely smoke mouse and keyboard player. I've seen the aim lapse records. People playing with a joystick here, instead of moving the joystick with their thumb, they're moving the joystick with this part of the thumb with a weird grip. Some people resting the controller on their legs. Some people, using the sticks with their thumbs laterally instead, and shooting with the back buttons. I have seen some crazy things because I've been trying to improve my aiming and just trying to get better with the controller. So there are some people that are like just have mad skills, okay, and they can do that with even a garbage controller. So with all that being said, okay, the high polling rate does matter. It improves the precision of your sticks, especially. You are gonna be able to see that on your screen. It's gonna look smoother. And yes, it is true. Some people mention here that there are some controllers out there with 1000 hertz polling rate that have terrible input lag. I'm gonna show you one of them. Look, I'm gonna show you a controller that has 1000 hertz polling rate and has worse input lag than this Steam controller. Worse. So basically, this controller wired has worse input lag than the Steam controller wireless. Even at 1000 hertz polling rate. Look, I'm gonna show you this controller. It's right here. This one. This controller, I was initially impressed with it because it does have very good build quality, but it was feeling very slow, especially wireless. 1000 hertz polling rate. Now, this controller has capacitive joysticks that are very precise. So, it's a weird feeling to have very precise joysticks with a very high resolution, incredible motion clarity on the display, but a high input lag. The Steam controller is gonna feel the opposite. It's gonna have low input lag, not very low, but acceptably low, to the point where a lot of people might not feel the difference unless they have them side by side. If you have them side by side, you're definitely gonna tell the difference, because even my people here at home, I have showed them the difference, and they can tell after I tell them what to look for, what to focus on. But it is a very weird experience to have a high input lag, a noticeable input lag, but have all the precision. Now, what is better? That's a hard question. What is better? The Steam controller with good enough input lag, but a low polling rate and low precision of the sticks, or a controller that has a higher input lag, but better precision, better motion clarity? For me, for the vast majority of the games, it's gonna be better to have more precision, even if I have a little bit higher input lag, for me. Because the thing is, even to play an FPS game, this controller is not ideal. It's not ideal because it's not the fastest. And you definitely have some lag, and now you have low polling rate. Now, with this controller, I actually bought a version. So basically, I do not recommend this controller. It is very slow, significantly slow. You can tell the difference big time. Do not buy it. I actually consider this controller to be a scam. And I reached out to this company and asked them, hey, can you send me the Chinese version so I can make a video comparing them? They said no answer, basically. They didn't want to send me this Chinese version. Why? Because they are exactly the same price, but the Chinese version is way better and you cannot buy it. Now, why is this Chinese version way better than this? Well, this one is 1000 hertz polling rate. This one is 2000 hertz polling rate. And can I tell the difference? Absolutely. The difference is huge. Absolutely huge difference. And I basically bought the controller myself with my own money because I knew the difference was going to be noticeable. So you're gonna tell me that 250 hertz on the Steam controller, it doesn't matter, like, because the input lag is low, it's gonna be fine. No. Okay. No. I can tell the difference between from 1000 to 2000 hertz, big difference. To the point where I feel like I got scammed with this controller. I would consider this controller to be a scam. It's the international version of this, and it is worse in every single way. It costs the same. Actually, I bought this one for $100 and this one for $120. So I actually paid more money for the worst controller. Okay, and I'm upset about it. I might make a video about it just to hammer them. Not only that, I mean, this controller has adaptive triggers that work. The Chinese version, the international version, the adaptive triggers only work in a single game. The rest of the games don't work. I don't know why. So you have worse performance and a feature that's a reason why I bought the controller doesn't even work. So yeah. I do have experience with these controllers. I've bought several of them already. So let me read your comments, okay? And we're gonna get into. I'll read more of these and more of your comments, and I'm gonna change the strings of my guitar, and we'll get into it. Man, I'm passionate about this because I've been buying a lot of controllers, so I know the difference. Like, this is probably one of my favorite hobbies because changing the controller changes the game. It just makes the game feel completely different. So I really like to, once I'm losing or something, I like to change the controller. It just changes the game. And each controller has something that they do better than the other. See, there's no perfect controller right now that I can tell you, yeah, this is the one, nothing else comes close, just buy this one. Each controller has something that they do extremely well. Sometimes the software, sometimes the performance itself. So, yeah. And the thing is, I try to increase the polling rate of the controller using Lord of Mice. It not always works. And sometimes, even if it works, it doesn't make any difference. So, yeah, I tried that with Lord of Mice and other apps, and it's actually kind of risky. You could break a controller by doing that. So let's get into it. I'm gonna read the comments. Let me see what we got here from the beginning. All right, let's see what I missed. I just comments saying 8K is a gimmick. I'm like, this is why we can have good things. Yeah, this is like, let me see. We got a comment like that here on the post for sure. Look, man, I have 1000 hertz controllers and they don't mean anything. I argue even 500 versus 1000 for a mouse is barely noticeable. Now here's the thing, the mouse don't have this lag issue that the controllers have. Yeah, I'm using a crappy mouse. This does have a lag and I can tell the difference. But you have a wired mouse with 1000 hertz polling rate, it's so good already. But with the controllers, it's not the same situation as with the mouse. But I'm gonna tell you right now, 8000 hertz is not a gimmick, okay? Now, there might be a controller out there that claims that it's 8000 hertz, but the board of the controller is not giving new, updated info. Basically, the lag of the board is just high, and it doesn't matter that it's 8000 hertz polling rate. So, polling rate is like, it allows for more performance to show if it is there. For example, the F1 controller I have, which I will review, I'm still waiting for the review sample, but I already bought it myself. And I communicated with this company and I asked them, why is this controller so fast? It's unbelievably fast. And it is 8000 hertz polling rate. Well, you know what they told me? Actually, the board is taking advantage of the sticks at almost the maximum capability. So basically, the internal frequency of the sticks is being utilized up to 20,000 hertz. 20,000 hertz, that's the speed in which the sticks are refreshing internally on the board. So when you have a polling rate between the controller and the PC that is 8,000, you will get updated information with that. So basically, that 8,000 hertz polling rate is real new data. It's not repeating the same data, because for example, if the maximum capability of the board is 1000 and you have the sticks, let's say this is the update of the stick, pa, 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 right? It's like, here we are. The PC is asking for new info. Hey, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? And I'm like, I'm in the same place. I'm in the same place. I'm in the same place. See, like there's no new info to take advantage of a higher polling rate. What you want is all the opposite. You want internally to have such an incredible precision, and then the polling rate is actually not saturating that. It's when every time there's a communication between the PC and the controller, you have that new data where that is. So in that case, this controller could actually have a 16,000 hertz polling rate, and you would have a faster controller. And what happens too is that will allow for a higher resolution on the sticks. You will have a higher precision on the sticks. And let me tell you, what is the number, based on my experience trying all the different controllers, what is that number that you can clearly tell the difference when you are below that, basically? I'm gonna tell you, anything below 2500 resolution, I can tell the difference. Now, how do you test the resolution? There's a test that you can download from Gamepad LA, and it requires you to move the sticks. So it depends on how good you can move the stick from the center to the outer and then back. So ideally, you would want to do that test with a machine who can do that perfectly to get an accurate result. So this is a test you have to repeat multiple times. But when you repeat it multiple times, you try your best, you have a good idea of the linearity and the resolution of the sticks. So in my experience, I can clearly tell the difference if a controller has a resolution below 2500. Clearly tell the difference. If the controller has a resolution of 500, it just doesn't look great. The motion just not gonna look great on the screen. 1000 is fine. I think that is bare minimum resolution for the sticks. Bare minimum is 1000. 1500 is going to look better. 2000 significantly better. 2500 significantly better. Now when you go to the 4000 plus resolution on the sticks, based on my testing with the different controllers I have, with this 360 hertz QD OLED monitor at 360 FPS, I can clearly tell the difference. When we're talking about our 4000 resolution, the motion just looks buttery smooth. It is so smooth. It's unbelievable. And the thing is, when you have such a high performance, such a high FPS on the game, and it's running so well, you think that it's just so good already that you're not gonna tell the difference. The thing is, bro, our senses, our eyes, our feelings, they are so sensitive. You have no idea. Some people think that you don't need more than 120 FPS, and I'm telling you, after studying and understanding the Blur Busters law, we actually need kilohertz. We need thousands of frames per second, not generated fake AI. Real. We need over 1000 frames per second, and we will tell the difference. It will be noticeable, and it will matter, and it is going to make you play better and have more skills. Now, if you are a very good player, you can play at 60 FPS and still beat me. But that's not the point. The point is, can I play better at 1000 frames per second? Will I have a better gaming experience? Will I be able to have a better performance? Will I be able to improve more? Absolutely. I will be able to improve more at 1000 frames per second with a almost, zero input lag and resolution as high as possible. Absolutely. So this argument that there is a threshold where it doesn't matter anymore, it doesn't matter anymore if you don't know what to look for and you don't notice it because of that. Like a kid, you can change the settings for a kid and he's just going to still enjoy the game because he's not paying attention to any of that, obviously. Well, when you know what to look for and you get into it, you will appreciate it. It is going to make a difference, and the difference is going to be very noticeable. Okay. Again, I'm passionate about this because I've been laser focused on these controllers for the past 4 months because it was a game-changing experience for me. I did not play any FPS before with my DualSense because I don't want to play with mouse and keyboard. I'm chilling out, playing on my big TV. And after getting a third-party controller, it was the GameStar G7 Pro, which people recommended me. I was so blown away. The difference was so big that I got into FPS games, and now I love FPS games. It's one of my favorite things to play. I'm still a Souls player. Okay, those are the games that I like the most. But I do like a lot to play FPS games now. And sometimes, see, I'm not very good, but sometimes I do laser the competition. Okay, I've been getting good at it. So yeah, okay, I'm gonna read your comments. I'm gonna change the strings of my guitar. We have 45 in the chat. People are really interested on this. So look, if you like this, again, if you like the Steam controller, the features, you don't care about the $100, just buy it. I mean, yes, you're gonna have the mouse for the trackpads for mouse-like input, but I was gonna buy it myself. I would not, lose my sleep or put my economy at home in jeopardy after spending $100. But I'm not gonna buy it. I'm not gonna buy it because it's just not gonna be good enough. No, it doesn't even have the clicky triggers, man. That's just, and every controller has now clicky triggers. How are you gonna miss that? It bothers me because I was interested on the Steam controller. I'm not interested anymore. And what I'm complaining about, the reason why I'm complaining about this is because, do I think Valve could have fixed that and make it better? Absolutely. I mean, that's nothing for them. Can they just add clicky triggers to a Steam controller? Of course they can. Will that increase the price of the controller? No. That's not going to increase the price of a controller. We have controllers that are $20. $20 that have clicky triggers, 8,000 hertz polling rate, capacitive joysticks, 6 additional buttons. You're gonna tell me that that's gonna increase the price of the controller? Of course not. They didn't do it because they think the majority of people are stupid. They are not gonna know. They're not gonna know better, and it doesn't matter anyway. They are Steam. We're going to get all the big YouTubers out there and the influencers, getting excited about the controller and recommending it. So it doesn't matter for them. They will sell like hotcakes anyway. And that's what bothers me. When I see that a company can do better and they don't because they think you're stupid, the people they're not going to care because they don't know, and they're going to get recommended anyways. That's what really bothers me. That they could make this controller way better, easily. And they didn't because they don't care, because that's what really bothered me, big time. So yeah, let's get into your comments. I'm gonna start from the latest comments, and we're gonna go up. Okay, I think I ranted enough. The DualSense haptics. I'm getting a controller for review that is supposed to be for PS5, and it's supposed to have some of those features. Let's see if it's good enough. And that's another thing I'm gonna say. We have potentiometer sticks. That's what we have on the Xbox, DualSense, all the first-party controllers, your Nintendo Switch Pro controller. That's a no-buy. Okay, the potentiometer sticks, that's just program obsolescence, basically. They are controllers that are designed to break, so you buy a new controller. That's what it is. Okay. So they do it on purpose. It's not because potentiometer sticks are cheaper. You know how much is the best sticks ever created? $20. Okay. And the $20 for us. For these companies, the sticks are pennies. So if they put a worse stick for you, is because they want the controller you are purchasing to break after 6 months, so you buy another one. That's what's going on here. So for me, any company that puts a worse stick is a decision that they are making on purpose, and it really bothers me, and I would not recommend that controller. For example, we have, again, potentiometer sticks, then we have Hall effect joysticks, we have TMR, and then we have capacitive joysticks. That's what we have so far, as far as I know, okay? Now, Hall effect joysticks, they are not going to drift, but the problem is they're a little bit less efficient, so they drain the battery a little bit harder. It might not be a big deal depending on the controller. That matters how big the battery is, how good everything. So, but the thing is, Hall effect joysticks sometimes make sense if the performance of the controller is not going to be great anyway. So basically, for example, if you replace the sticks on your DualSense controller and you put Hall effect and you compare that with TMR, you're not going to see a big difference because the TMR joysticks you're putting on the controller are not being fully utilized. Why? Because the board of the DualSense controller is limited to 8 bits and the polling rate is low. So you will not see the performance of the controller. It's like having a PC with a 5090 and using a 720p 60 Hz office monitor. You're not going to see the graphics of your PC. It doesn't matter how good your PC is. The display is the one that's going to show you that. So, a controller that has Hall effect joysticks, like, replacing the DualSense with Hall effect joysticks, that's fine. I mean, it's not going to be a controller with high performance. But to have companies like FlyDigi with the Vader 5 Pro and the Apex that are very popular controllers that a lot of people buy, and actually every time I go to a new controller review, there is always someone in the comments, hey, when are you going to review the Vader 5 Pro? Even on my controller videos, I always get a comment that someone telling me, hey, when are you gonna review the FlyDigi Apex, Vader 5 Pro or the Apex or whatever? And I'm like, look, I did reach out to FlyDigi, but I was not gonna give them a recommendation. Why? Because they are still using Hall effect joysticks. Now, I understand they did develop a technology, a feature on their sticks to make them feel unique. It has like bearings, which is very nice. I actually like that kind of innovation. So maybe they put a lot of development budget behind developing that, and it just cost them too much, and they want to keep using it because it's something unique that they did. But the thing is, those controllers have low precision. The sticks will not have a high resolution because they are Hall effect. There's no reason to use Hall effect joysticks anymore. Why? Because we have capacitive joysticks that are the best. We also have TMR joysticks which can have a higher polling rate. So basically, capacitive joysticks right now are limited to 2000 Hertz. How do I know that? Well, I asked one company, why didn't you utilize capacitive joysticks? And they told me, because we wanted to have 8000 Hertz polling rate, and right now capacitive joysticks are limited to 2000 Hertz polling rate, and we think 8000 Hertz polling rate is gonna make a bigger difference. Okay, so right now we have TMR joysticks that are not the best, but they can reach 1000 Hertz and beyond. They can actually do 30,000 Hertz. And we have capacitive joysticks that are the best, but they are not going over 2000 Hertz right now for some reason. So that's what we have right now. But Hall effect makes no sense. And FlyDigi is way behind, and that is not, and I recently saw a video from Short Circuit recommending the Vader 5 Pro. I'm not saying it's a bad controller, I haven't even tried it. It could be a great controller otherwise. It has the adaptive triggers, it has a lot of additional buttons, the software could be great. So that's fine. It could be a very good controller to recommend, but not to play first-person shooters. Not to say this is like one of the best competitive controllers out there, because it has Hall-effect joysticks. It cannot be one of the best, and they are outdated, and we have to call that out so Flight Digi can improve, because it's not gonna make the controllers more expensive. They can just literally release a version of their controllers with better sticks. It's a no-brainer. Who wouldn't want that? So yeah, just want to make that. And I want to keep reading your comments, but I keep ranting about it. But yeah, I'm going to read your comments now. Okay, let's see what we got. Yeah, when it comes to Bluetooth and the polling rate and all of that, yeah, I did get this controller for review, the GuliKit TT Max, and I didn't recommend this controller because it has this physical dead zone in the center of the sticks. And that's such a shame, man. And the problem is these 720 degrees tension adjustable TMR joysticks. And I know the problem is that it's not that I got a bad sample, because I got also the sticks. I got that. By the way, let me get this out of the way. I'm gonna burn in my QD OLED TV here with this. Let me get this out of the way. So I know it's just the sticks, because I'm gonna show you. I got the separate joysticks. Where do I have this? Well, I have it there. I have it right here in this box. Oh yeah. So they also sent me the sticks to replace my DualSense. Oh no, it's right here. I have a bunch of boxes everywhere. So look, they sent me the sticks to replace my DualSense with this. These are exactly the same sticks that they put on the GuliKit TT Max. Unfortunately, the tension adjustable mechanism that these sticks has this issue with the inner dead zone, which is something that they recognize themselves. You go to the GuliKit website and you read the firmware update of this GuliKit TT Max, and you're gonna see that they actually try to improve the auto centering algorithm for this controller, because they recognize, they acknowledge that these sticks have this issue. Now look at this. Look at the problem here. I'm doing this. That's a very, very small wiggle. So for a lot of people that are not focused, laser focused on the sticks and all that, this is not gonna matter. And the performance of this controller is actually great. It's amazing, and I love the ergonomics of this controller. I really like this controller, really, really like it. But the sticks are not good, and they're not good because of this. But not only that, the build quality of the plastic casing of the sticks, this thing right here, is not perfect, and the imperfections of the plastic make it so when you move the sticks, you feel some friction. That is some unevenness. That's like, and that shows on the stick analyzer that you don't have perfect circularity, and they do not feel perfectly smooth. So they just messed it up with the sticks. This could have been one of my favorite controllers and highly recommended, but I cannot recommend it because of that, unfortunately. But they did acknowledge some of the issues, and they did fix a lot of the issues that I pointed out on the video, and I got confirmation from people who bought the controller that they got a better controller, because we pointed out the issues and GuliKit listened and they tried to improve their controller. So most likely next time we get a controller from GuliKit, it's not gonna have these issues, and that's why we have to call this out. So these companies do better because they make the products that we want to use, we want to buy, and we want to enjoy. That's why I get serious about this, rather than, oh, everything is amazing, and I'm excited about all the controllers, and I recommend you buy every single one of them, link in the description of the video. I don't do that because that's not how we're gonna get better products. So yeah, I promise I'm gonna read the chat because I've been ranting for so much. Okay, so you think F1 is the fastest? It is the fastest, but it's not the smoothest. The F1 has a resolution of 1200. The Machinike F1 controller is the fastest, but it has a resolution of 1200, 1300 based on my testing, and the motion on the display is not the best. Unfortunately, I wish they. The thing is, they wanted to have tension adjustable TMR joysticks at 8000 hertz polling rate, and they chose the best joysticks that could do that, basically. But those joysticks, they don't have a very high resolution. So basically, if they use the JS13 Pro, then the controller would not have tension adjustable mechanism. So now, I'm gonna tell you this. Tension adjustable joysticks is almost a must, I'm gonna tell you. The thing is, if you get used to the tension of your sticks and you like it, then it doesn't matter. Because you're not gonna be changing the tension of the sticks all the time. You're gonna set them to a point where you like them, and that's it. You're never gonna touch that again. So for some people, having tension adjustable mechanism, it doesn't even matter. But here's the problem. You don't know if it matters until you try it. And when you increase the tension of the sticks, it makes a big difference. For me, it makes a big difference. I can have more control to move the stick and fine tuning the targets when I have more tension. And also, it matters a lot the stick cap that you use. So for example, in my experience, at the beginning, I didn't like these top stick caps that were rounded, the dome shapes. I didn't like those at all at the very beginning. I like them to be flat. So when you're using a flat, it's fine if the stick doesn't have a lot of tension. It's fine. It actually might be preferable. But with practice, when I try to improve my 6-shot score on aim labs, shooting small targets, and on the games and all that, trying to increase my precision with a sniper, for example, I realized, well, more tension is better. But when I increase the tension of the sticks in other controllers, I mean, you're gonna increase it on this one, on the F1, for example, I increase the tension of the sticks. I realized that now a flat stick with a high tension doesn't work very well because my thumb starts to slip because I don't have that grip when I am moving from one side to the other because the area of contact from the stick to the thumb, it's smaller. So I tried then with a higher tension on the sticks on my F1 controller. I tried this dome shape and it made a huge difference. So when you have a dome shape, a higher tension on the sticks works very well. So this matters. Everything matters. So yeah, I think having tension adjustable, it is a big deal. But the F1 controller doesn't have the smoothest camera panning because the resolution of the sticks is like 1200, and that's low. And I'm complaining about the Steam controller, which is probably gonna be 250, 500 resolution. I'm telling you, 1200 feels low, and I can see it on the screen. That's not as good as the other controllers I have. It's not as good as the original G7 Pro. The original G7 Pro was like 2500, 3000 maybe on my testing when I try again and again. It was better. Better, smoother camera panning. But the F1 is the fastest. It's just not close, especially wireless. The F1 wireless is like alien technology, unbelievably fast. I was just blown away with how fast that controller is wireless. And that controller is fast even if you lower the polling rate to 125 hertz, which is incredible. You still remember from the 5090 launch? Yeah, I don't plan to buy the 6090, but it might be very good for the channel to do the. I think I definitely want to go to Micro Center and camp. But if I camp, I'm gonna buy it. So I don't know, man. Let's see. We're still like 2 years away from the 6090, but I don't need it, man. I don't need it. 5090 is fast, and if a game doesn't look great, it's just the game. It's not the PC. That's what people need to understand. Sometimes people feel like, oh, I got a 5080, man. I should have gone the 5090. Bro, if a game doesn't look amazing on a 5080, it's the game. So a 5090 is not gonna fix that. It's the game. So what do I recommend for a good controller that doesn't click? What do you mean by doesn't click? That doesn't have clicky buttons? Yeah, my Micro Center camping was epic. Man, no sleeping. And I camped for 2 days actually. 2 days, because they told me next day we might get a 5090. And I'm like, okay, I'm not moving from here. I'm the number one in the line, you know. So I camped for 2 days, and they told me at the end, no, we didn't get any. So yeah, I had to go back home because that was crazy. Have you tried getting the newest GameSurgism AK update? Apparently there is a pre-release update that reduces a stick latency down to 0.62 now. Oh no, I haven't tried. Like a manual firmware update that hasn't been released yet. No, I haven't tried that. But hopefully they improve the latency wireless, because I can feel the latency wireless. It's not like the F1. The F1 controller wireless feels so much faster. It's not close. Even wired, the F1 is faster than the G7 Pro. Now, one thing that it's weird about my G7 Pro AK is that I'm getting this high tremor, over 90%, and that's not what I see in other controller reviewers. So I don't know if there's something with my unit, or I don't know, because in game it feels, I don't feel that on the game at all. It feels very precise. I don't see any issues really, but for some reason the benchmark is showing a lot of noise on the sticks, and I haven't seen that high on any controller. Like, 50,000 data points, something like that. I've never seen that on any controller. When the resolution is not, it's like 10% of that basically. So I actually prefer buttons that use rubber contact instead of micro switches. Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, the F1 controller has the ability to change the micro switches, and you can buy a micro switch that is not as clicky, that is more quiet. That's one of the main selling points of that controller. But the thing is, the Machinike F1 controller that I bought with my money was an early pre-release unit that has a lot of issues. A lot of issues. I reached out to Machinike, they told me, we fix all that. We're gonna send you a unit that's going, they told me, we have not released the controller yet. It's not available for sale through our, like our store, like our partners or whatever. People were selling that controller out there. They just got the early samples. Those have issues, okay? We will fix them. We're gonna send you one that doesn't have the issues. It's gonna be the one available for everyone. Like, okay, I'm gonna wait for it. But yeah, that controller has a lot of issues. Until I test the final version and I confirm that it doesn't have problems, I cannot recommend it. Because yes, it is super fast, but I almost break that controller. Let me tell you, because the whole point of that controller is that you can open it and change the micro switches. And the reason why I opened the controller was actually because one of the sticks came out completely. I was playing, the stick just popped out. And to fix it, I had to open the controller. When I opened the controller, I couldn't close it. I spent 4 days trying to close the controller, making the screws tighter and all that. It didn't fit. So the fit and finish, there was an issue with that. And I had to end up removing one of the internal plastic shells and then using silicone to close the controller. So yeah, that sucks. I mean, the whole point of that controller is that you can open it to change the micro switches. So if you like less clicky buttons, you can have any button you want, like a mouse. Some mouse have that feature. You can just change the micro switch. So that could be the controller for you if you want to have a customized clicky experience or less clicky or whatever. So yeah, because the face buttons do have a main brain and then the micro switches behind that. So you can have any feel you want. But yeah, I cannot recommend it now until I try the last version. So LG TV video, you need to delete the current Game Start Connect app and use this link for the beta. Okay, I'll check him out. I'll check that out. Okay, let's see what I miss. Let's play the guitar for a bit. Show some skill. Well, after I'm changing the string. I'm gonna change the string after I finish changing. I'll show you something. Let's see what I miss. 250 hertz is the standard, so it seems nice. 250 hertz is low. It's just low standard then. It's just not. I think we should definitely hammer Valve for doing that, because they can do better. They didn't do it because they don't care. They think people don't know anyway. They think people don't know better, so that's why they did it. So I'm sorry, my point to bringing up the Gulligit TT Max was because the Bluetooth at 760 Hertz, the Bluetooth latency is actually very low, very good Bluetooth latency. So someone asked me about the Bluetooth thing, and that controller actually has this technology with the Bluetooth. The dongle is actually Bluetooth, so they improved the protocol or something. I don't know what they did, but they do have this low latency Bluetooth technology, because usually the dongle is 2.4 gigahertz band and not Bluetooth. Not sure if this was already discussed, but couldn't the Steam controller be potentially overclocked? Yes, but the thing is, it could improve the controller massively, but it could not work, or even if it works, it could not improve anything. So the thing is, I'm not gonna buy a controller hoping that I can overclock it to get better performance. Now, if other people do it and it works, and you have no issue, and then it performs wonderfully, then the question to Valve is, are you stupid? Like, why did you release a controller with low performance for absolutely no reason? See, so we have to believe that there is a reason why they did not include the performance. They did not include 1000 hertz polling rate. Now, if they do a firmware update and now it is 1000 hertz plus, then that's great, and it does improve the performance. That's great. But the thing is, it could work, but why didn't they do it? I don't think they are that stupid to have the possibility to make it be better, and they just don't do it. When they increase the polling rate, maybe there's something that they have to tweak on to actually make it better, to make it count. But yeah, it could be. But I'm not gonna buy a controller unless I know I'm gonna get that performance. Well, hopefully they fix that. If they do a firmware update and they fix that, then that'll be fine. Then okay, the clicky triggers situation is sucks, but at least it's gonna be acceptable. Could be. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to go back and see the comments when I was ranting about the 250 hertz. Uh, yes, only if I overclock DualSense is 250 hertz by default, regardless of the input. This is important over Bluetooth for not saturated communication. Yeah, I've seen people they can overclock the DualSense to 8,000 hertz polling rate. But the thing is, it might not be so stable. The controller might disconnect, and it might not improve the performance that much. It does. I think it does improve the latency a little bit, because on Gamepad LA, the latency numbers for the DualSense, they do have it for 8,000 hertz, I think, if I remember. But yeah, we shouldn't have to do that, man. We have to, they should have the controller out of the box with all the performance. And yeah, the Hall effect joysticks, they are not new. The Dreamcast used Hall effects in 1999. Yeah, and there was a controller also, the PlayStation 3 controller. I was watching a video the other day. The PlayStation 3 controller had, it was not Hall effect, I think, but it was a magnetic technology that would not have drift, basically. So if you have a PlayStation 3 controller, it might still work with no drift. So why they regress on that? They did it on purpose. They just did it on purpose, so you have to keep buying new controllers. That's why. They don't want to sell you a controller that never breaks, so you never need another controller again. That's not good for business. It's like, think about healthcare. What is good for business? I'm gonna give you this pill for the rest of your life, and you have to keep buying it every single month. That's very good for business. It's not good for business to actually cure you, to fix your problem. That's not good. I don't. Why would they do that? I mean, they might find a cure for something, and they might be like, okay, no, let's forget about that. You know, let's keep doing what we're doing. We're making a lot of money. So that's the thing, man. All they care about is money. Okay, this is all business. Yeah, I think Sony with the DualSense, they could absolutely kill the third-party controller market. Why? Because they own this, the companies. They can tell the companies to develop the games with their haptic feedback and adaptive triggers. So what does the DualSense needs to absolutely obliterate the competition? Well, improve the board so you can do 12, 16 bits for the sticks, put capacitive joysticks on that controller, make it 2000 hertz, 8000 hertz polling rate, improve the gyro, add 6 additional buttons, 2 in the back, 2 at the top. Have some quality of life improvement, like the cable, so it doesn't. One problem that I have with my DualSense is that the cable had a false contact. So basically, add this something like this on the G7 Pro, like this piece of plastic at the top. Other controllers are coming with something similar to this, so the cable doesn't move. Although this one, it does move, and I had to add a rubber thing to the cable because it's like pointless to have it. And if there's a wiggle, you don't want any wiggle on the cable. So this one didn't work well, but I guess it's like a tolerance issue. Like some units might not fit perfectly or something. So yeah, they could obliterate the competition. Also, make all the buttons micro switches instead of the main brain. Feels very, very cheap. And when you open the DualSense, you see that the buttons are like this, the oldest technology for the buttons. It's like this thin circuit board that is very thin, and it has the contact, and you press the button, it touches with a carbon thing or something. Get rid of that and just make a micro switch like real buttons, so it's more it gives you better feedback and all of that, or optical buttons, something like that. So yeah, a greatly improved DualSense controller would be unbeatable. But we're talking about a completely different controller. It would have to be a lot better, and Sony would they would want to charge $300 for that controller. That's a problem. Like, they will be we'll talk about a scam, for example. And we're talking about Hall effect joysticks and how that's unacceptable anymore. There's a controller. There are different controllers, but it's basically these controllers that they are selling with a Marius board with Hall effect joysticks. I mean, I think you can already order them with TMR, which could be fine. But we're talking about a controller that can cost over $300, over $400 even. And it has Hall effect joysticks with low resolution. Why would you do that? I mean, it's a scam, in my opinion. You ask me, that controller is a scam. And how do I know that? Well, because I saw a review of that controller, and I went to the comment section, and the creator of the board, Marius, he commented, the resolution of the sticks is this low right now, but we're working on it or something, like whatever. It's a scam, basically. So these controllers over $200, it's just like, no. I haven't seen a single controller that's worth about $200. Most of the time, it's like the brand, like you have, for example, Razer, which is a known brand that's gonna want to charge $200 for a controller, and then it doesn't even have vibration, it doesn't have tension adjustable. It has a crappy app that you have to install to change the settings, and you have to be connected online and create an account to sign in and all that. They want to charge $200 for that. Yeah, it does have good performance, but so let's see. So this is a good question. Is it noticeable when you're playing at 60 FPS with 120? So here's the thing. 60 FPS is too low. Too low. The motion at 60 FPS is a total mess. Total mess. At 120 FPS, the motion is still not great, but that's the point where you can start seeing the improvement on the sticks that I'm talking about. So if you're playing at 60 FPS, it's so low that you're not gonna be able to see the better motion that I'm talking about. It might still feel smoother. The camera panning is gonna feel smoother, but the higher the frame rate, the higher the performance, the more you're gonna be able to see these details. Basically, because if you have a bottleneck, I mean, think about it. 30 FPS, everyone knows that sucks. At 30 FPS, will you be able to tell the difference between a higher performance controller and no, of course not. It's just so bad that it's although let me tell you something. One of the biggest advantages of a high performance controller is that actually you can use frame generation with a very, very high performance controller, and that might feel better than no frame generation with a low performance controller. Think about that. You can double the smoothness on your screen. And also it's gonna look smoother just because the controller camera panning is better. And it might feel the same or even a little bit better. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. That's like a cheat code. You get a high performance controller, use frame generation for the Unreal Engine 5 slop, and you're set. You're set up. It just works. Yeah, and the thing is, man, we're trying to play against people with mouse and keyboard. We need all the performance we can get. I'm reading the comments from the beginning of the stream. So the 8-bit DO Pro 3 was actually worse than Nova Lite. Also hate micro switch controllers. It feels horrible. So let's talk about that controller. I reviewed the 8-bit DO Pro 3 controller, and I did recommend it for what it is. It's not a bad controller, and I actually liked that it has native support for Steam when you're using the input. Steam recognizes the controller as 8-bit DO Pro 3. You can see the additional buttons. You can map the additional buttons. You can calibrate the gyro. So you can have a native gyro support, but 125 hertz if you do that. So that controller has a 500 hertz polling rate. It has the resolution of the sticks, I think it was like 500, if I remember correctly. I think it was like 400 or 500. So the camera panning on that controller is just not very smooth. It's fine, but it's just not very smooth. It doesn't feel very responsive either. So I really like the controller ergonomics, like holding the controller in my hands. I really like that shape. I think it looks pretty too. And it does have the back buttons that are very, very, very easy to press because they are flush, like the G7 Pro. They're like this, back buttons. I really like this style of back buttons. And it had the top buttons. The top buttons were not in a very good spot. But the thing is, I did like the controller, but the performance was too low. Too low. 500 hertz was not enough. So I'm complaining about the Steam controller has 250 hertz. I'm telling you, I tried a controller with 500 hertz that I really like, and I'm like, man, if only this was 1000 hertz plus. It's a big difference, man. It does matter a lot. You're basically ruining a potential good controller with a low polling rate. That's why I'm making this rant. It is very important, man. It makes a big difference. I have two 1000 hertz controllers and I don't notice any difference between them and a PS5 or Xbox Series X controller. The only thing better about them is they use Hall effect sticks and triggers. But let me ask you, what are you playing? Are you playing on the Xbox or the PS5? Are you playing on the PC? Are you playing at 120 FPS on an OLED? Or 240 hertz on OLED, 360, 500. So it's like you will see the difference. See, here's the thing. Every time I hear this argument coming from anyone that I cannot tell the difference between this and this, or it doesn't matter if it's higher because you're not going to be able to do the difference. I don't think that you are incapable of seeing the difference. What I know for sure is that you don't know exactly what to look for. And I am also sure if you were in front of me in person, I would tell you, look, I'm going to show you the difference. Look at this detail here when I'm panning the camera. Now look at back and forth, and you would tell the difference. You're going to tell me, oh yeah, I see what you're saying. You might say, man, but that's like a very, very, very imperceptible thing. You're making a rant about that detail. Yes, I want that detail to be there. I want that precision to be. I want that feeling, that responsiveness. Because why not? I mean, I'm paying $100 for this controller. If I can get a controller for $20, that's better. I mean, they have to do better than that. So I get it. Some people might be like, man, yeah, I see what you're saying, but yeah, come on, man. It's like an exaggeration. But that's what we're talking about. I mean, see, what makes the best? Playing the guitar, for example. Why someone is the best and what? Because of the small details. See the difference between the absolute best and someone who's not very good. I mean, who's good, but it's not like. It's just it's all about the detail, bro. Okay, that's what we're talking about here. I get it. This is not for kids. Kids don't care if you play at 30 FPS, whatever. They're just gonna enjoy the game. But I think we're not kids anymore. We care about the command center. Okay. So yeah. Yeah, I'm waiting to see if someone overclocks the Steam and if it works better. If it's better, and someone who can test the performance. So I'm going back and reading the older comments, see if I miss something. Oh, an Apple controller. I hate Apple, man. Apple is like this. Their business product, the business model is like, oh my god. Just want to make everything proprietary, and you have to pay the extra because they're Apple or something, you know. So you pick up, you got the PSVR 2, the Sony VR headset, and forgot how bad the stick drift was on my DualSense. I've gotten used to the PC Hall effect on my 8-bit DO and TMR on the G7 Pro. Yeah, stick drift is it just sucks, man. It's like the death of the controller. Is that stick drift. That's what triggered everything for me. All this controller, this new controller passion was because I got sick of my DualSense. I thought the DualSense was the best controller in the world because of the adaptive triggers, the haptic feedback, and all of that. And those features are very nice, and I do miss them. I have to tell you, I do miss those features. But man, when I got a controller that didn't have that, and it's not only that it doesn't have stick drift, it's just the precision, the improvement. I was blown away. I'm like, man, this. I wish I knew about this 3 years ago. I wouldn't have wasted my time with the DualSense. And I do like the ergonomics and the features and all that, but sticks are garbage, man. GTA 6 marketing has started. GTA 6, is there a new video about it? I've seen some rumors and stuff, but we're gonna have to wait at least one more year to play GTA 6 on the PC. Unfortunately. But yeah, it's gonna be worth waiting for it. I'm not even gonna watch anything. When the game comes out, I don't wanna see any videos. I don't wanna spoil it for me. I'm not gonna watch anything GTA 6 because I wanna play that fresh, you know. I wanna ask for vacations on my job to just play GTA 6. And I'm sure a lot of people are gonna do that. Actually, the world might collapse when GTA 6 comes out. It's just gonna be nuts. I can see some businesses going out of business because everyone just wants to go on vacations to play that game. It's gonna be crazy, man. I think GTA 6 is going to disrupt everything in such a big way. It's gonna be insane. I think after playing GTA 6, no other game is gonna be like so far away. That game is gonna be like 10 years away from the rest of the world. We're gonna have to wait 10 years more to play a game that comes even close to GTA 6, I think. So yeah, it's gonna be good, let me tell you. Yeah, wired, the controller wired is better, man. Even with this, I mean, this I can feel the lag wireless. The thing is, if I don't try wired, yeah, but I can feel the lag if I use wireless. Now the F1 controller, I can feel the difference, but man, it is brutally fast wireless. That controller wireless, it feels like you're wired. I mean, it just feels wired. Incredible. So hello Powerlot, how much cost for buy? That's a $300 power supply. Okay, not cheap, but we're talking about titanium stuff. So the efficiency, and also for me that power supply, it's like when I was looking for the power supplies for my 5090, because MSI asked me, hey, which power supply, you know, basically, I mean, they didn't ask me specifically, but they gave me the opportunity to correct. So basically they said, okay, we can send you this. Does that look okay, or would you like something different, basically? So they did give me the chance to. So I did my research and stuff, and I realized, man, for some reason the newer power supplies that have the 12-pin connector for the GPUs, for the newer GPUs, they don't have the 8-pin connectors anymore. So what if you want to try your 5090 with a 3080, for example? And that was my case. I wanted to try that. I couldn't because my case, I would have to modify the case to fit the second GPU. But I couldn't try it because the power supply only had the 12 pin. And then I told MSI, hey, look, can you create an adapter or something? Because I mean, some people might want to use a secondary GPU for PhysX because the 5000 series GPUs don't support PhysX anymore. NVIDIA fixed that later, but that was the situation back then. And also for frame generation, you have a secondary GPU, you can do frame generation on the second GPU, and then you don't lose your base frame rate. So that could be a good idea. I think you should. And actually, MSI listened, and they did offer a free adapter for all the people who bought that power supply that they sent me. Big deal. I think that's just incredible. MSI, you know, the way MSI has, you know, treated me as a content creator, YouTuber, like the way they send me all the stuff, like they say nothing. They don't say, oh, we liked the video, we didn't like the video, or they, you know, I would like you to highlight this or do that. No. Can you send me this product? Yes. Okay, send it. Okay, here's the product. That's it. See, and if I ask them a question, I request them something, they are like, okay, we're gonna consider that. We're gonna talk about it with our headquarters or whatever. And they do, and they fixing things. So MSI is just like, for me, it's just the best. But yeah, PowerLot is a new company coming to the power supply things. And what I like is that they are coming out with a big power supplies. 1300 watts, and they have another one. So that one is $300. And they have another one that's 1600 watts. And that one is $380. So 1600 watts, titanium, 80 plus titanium, with all the cables you ever gonna need on a power supply. I think that's like end game. And 12 years of warranty. I think that's really very impressive. So yeah, and they paid me a lot of money for that video too. So I'm very happy about it. They did big bucks. Okay, we're talking about big money. So I'm happy about it. I'm glad that they reach out. But yeah, someone said, you're gonna remove the power supply after the video. And of course not, man. First of all, I'm not gonna do the cable management again. Just the work of removing the power supply, I'm not gonna do that. And second, that power supply is better than the one I was using in every single way. So I'm not gonna. I think it's better. I mean, I did my research. It's bigger, heavier, has more ports in the back. So why would I remove that? It's just probably the last power supply I'm ever gonna need. I think the DualSense is the most satisfying controller if you overclock the trash joysticks. Those speakers and haptic feedback is amazing. I really like the DualSense. I do think it needs back buttons, man. Back buttons are such a big deal. Actually, let me tell you something. One thing that I want to do, one thing that I have in mind is I'm gonna reach out to some companies that do 3D printers to see if I can get a high-end 3D printer, maybe discounted, maybe sponsor video, I don't know. Because one thing I want to do with a 3D printer is I want to design a controller that is ergonomic, because none of these controllers are perfectly ergonomic. This is not ergonomic, okay? They do this because it's just what people know, what people are used to, and I understand it is a big risk to come out with a controller that's just completely different from anything that we have on the market. A lot of people are gonna be afraid to try that because they have been practicing for many years with this kind of controllers and they don't want to change. They think they might not be better. But I know you will be better with a controller that is actually ergonomic. Now, what do I know about ergonomics? I am a classical guitarist, okay? I focus on the technique, on my finger movements. So I know a lot about the nature of human hands and how the fingers move. And I know I can create a controller that is truly ergonomic, that will be way better than anything else we have right now on the market. So what I want to do is get a 3D printer to create some prototypes of controllers with different ideas, and then I want to patent that. Once I have a great idea, I want to patent that, and then I want to reach out to one of these companies, one of these controller companies, and try to have them design the board with the buttons and all of that. And I would try that prototype. It's gonna be incredible. It's gonna be the best controller ever created in the history. And we're gonna sell them out. Okay, we're gonna make a lot of money. So I'm gonna have the patent, I'm gonna work with that company, we're gonna split it in half, the earnings, and it's gonna be amazing. That's one thing I have on my mind. I think I wanna do that. Because I know exactly, I have some ideas that I think we would completely obliterate the competition. The only thing is that Sony has, the power to, for the games, basically, to reach out to the game developers and implement the haptic feedback and block that from anyone else. So we're not gonna be able to win in that, basically. But yeah, I'll do a pretty good job on that, and it's gonna be really, truly ergonomic. And actually, becoming a controller scientist. Yeah, but because I think that's like, I think that was definitely the missing ingredient for my setup. I was like, okay, controller doesn't matter. It's like, I think when people start building a PC, at the beginning they are like, oh, the peripherals. I'm just gonna save money with the peripherals. We're gonna spend all the money on the GPU, and then the monitor doesn't matter. LCD, crappy Walmart keyboard mouse like this garbage here, and that's it. We're gonna play with a 5090 and a wireless office mouse and whatever. And then once you learn, you're gonna realize, oh, actually you need a display that can show you that PC, the PC graphics, and now you need a controller that can send a smooth, fast, responsive inputs to that display. So then you start realizing, oh, actually the audio sucks. I cannot hear the footsteps. Now I need a proper audio setup. I think that's definitely my next endeavor. So yeah, the more we get into the hobby, I mean, the more complicated, the more sophisticated it gets, definitely. Create an ergonomic guitar first. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we definitely need better ergonomics. These guitars are very uncomfortable. We need support and things to play this. We need an ergonomic controller with a good software. Yeah, the software of control is so important. But that's definitely something I cannot do. But they can. Excellent back paddles that I can spam press successfully with 100% confidence. Now I have to say I criticize this controller and I don't recommend it because I think it's a scam. Because why would you buy a worse controller for the same money? Basically, the Chinese controller, which is not very fast, by the way, it's 2000 hertz point rate, it's still slow, but at least it's usable. The wireless is very slow, very laggy, not for FPS, but for third-person games, you can still use it. But what this controller does have, and I cannot, because they didn't pay me for the video or anything, I cannot hammer them on that. The build quality on this controller is god tier. Okay, it's god tier. It is the best. I haven't seen any controller that comes even close to the build quality, and the back buttons, to your point, the back buttons are the best. You can press that until the end of time, and it's just incredible. So play some Crimson Desert AI music on the guitar. Man, that music when you're buying something from a merchant, it's like I have to map one of the buttons of my controller to mute the PC when I'm listening to that merchant. It's like, my God, take me out of this suffering. What kind of AI did they use for that slop? It's really bad. AI music, I'm sorry, that's never gonna happen. I can tell that from a mile away. It's just bad. Really, really bad. Maybe for piano, because piano is just pushing buttons, but it's not gonna happen. Definitely not for guitar. It'll never happen. What's my view on the S95F? Well, let me tell you, I'm looking at it every day. The price is still very expensive. Like last time I checked, it was $2,300. 22. It's not dropping from 2,000 for the 65 inch. I will buy it brand new once it is 1,600 for sure, maybe 800. I tried to buy it open box. I did. I bought an excellent condition Samsung S95F open box, and it was horrendous. Okay, it had hundreds of dead pixels. It was not even on the original packaging. I'm like, you're listing this PC as this TV as excellent condition, and you're bringing this box. It was basically two boxes smashed together because it was not big enough. And then when they opened the TV, it was like loose on the inside, going back and forth, and it was all dirty. The back of the TV was all dirty, like if you rest the TV on the dirt, basically. And then when I turn on the screen, because I did test the TV before buying it, I literally went to Best Buy with my PC on the car, and I'm like, look, I'm not gonna pay for a truck because they don't deliver. When you buy a TV that's used no, it's open box. They don't do delivery. You have to take the TV, and it's a big TV, 65 inch. So I had to rent a truck. And I'm like, look, I'm not gonna rent a truck, take this TV home, and then realize it has defects, it has problems, because if someone returned the TV, it's probably because there was an issue with it, maybe. And I'm gonna, yes, get my refund, but then I lose the money of the transportation. Okay, that's we're talking about over $100. So I spoke with the people at Best Buy. They were very nice, very nice. They said, yeah, no problem. Just bring your PC here. We're gonna set you up here, and you can turn it on and test it. All right, perfect. So what I did was turn on the TV. Go through the setup menu or whatever. Skip that, and then I opened a gray, full screen gray. That's what I did. So if you want to quickly test, if you're buying a TV open box, you want to test it, do this, man. You can create this on Paint. You just create a full gray, full screen gray, and you open that picture on the TV, and then put your nose on the screen, very close to the screen. Look at the corners of the screen, mainly the corners of the screen. This TV had hundreds of dead pixels. Hundreds. It was not one or two. I replaced the TV because it had 3 dead pixels. Okay, I replaced it. The S95C, that was the last one I got. It was very good. The screen uniformity, it was awesome. 3 dead pixels. Okay, I'm not taking a TV that has 3 dead pixels. This one had hundreds. I showed them, look at this. I told them, right now you tell me, look, you can take this TV for free, and I don't think this TV is worth the transportation to take it back home. I would not want to use this TV. If you give it to me free right now, I would not use it. You can basically send that for recycle or whatever, trash that. Don't sell this TV. This is broken. You don't want anyone to buy and use this TV. Definitely not pay $1,500 for this garbage. I was gonna pay $1,500 after taxes and all that. It was like $1,200. So yeah, after that, I'm like, man, it's kind of a waste of time with how meticulous I am to try to buy an open box QD OLED, because the thing is, QD OLEDs are very fragile. If you don't treat them with extreme care, you're gonna ruin the display. If you touch the screen with your oily hands and you do pressure or something, you can kill pixels, and it's just, people don't treat these TVs with care. They don't know better. So I have to buy a brand new, and brand new right now is just way too much money, man. $2,300. I will buy a brand new. Now let me tell you something. The S95H, when it comes to picture quality, is almost the same as the S95F. A little bit better, of course. But one thing I do like is, of course, no One Connect box. That's definitely a big deal. But one thing I do like, the frame sucks because why would you do that? Like a shiny, reflective, metallic frame on the TV with a matte finish designed to prevent reflections. And now you have a matte finish on the TV that doesn't reflect, but then you have the shiny frame reflecting. It's just like, oh my God, who thought that was a good idea? Who thought that was a good idea? Fire that guy. Just absolutely fired him. Okay? Now, if that frame was matte black, I like it. And let me tell you, I would buy the S95H and just black tape the whole thing. Okay, just put a matte black tape, not a big deal. It's not gonna look pretty, but I don't care. What I do like about that frame is that everyone has confirmed already that it makes the TV a lot stronger. You can manhandle that TV now. You can move it around without having to worry about touching the screen. And I like that a lot, because one thing these QD OLED TVs need is they need to be stronger. They are too fragile. One of the S90Ds that I had to replace was broken in front of me, because to put the legs, these guys, they flip the TV upside down, and then the weight of the bottom boards where the HDMI ports are and all that weight was too much, and the screen is too thin. They bent the TV in front of me. The people who brought the TV. I'm like, you just broke a $1,500 TV by not treating it with care. They're like, of course, I'm sorry. We're sorry. Apologize. Just call and you can replace it. No problem. We'll send you another one. And they did. But yeah, the S95H, not a problem. You can flip it upside down, do whatever you want. It has that metal frame that's gonna make the TV stronger. I really like that. Really, really do. But the thing is just so much more expensive than the S95F, and it's the same picture quality, so it's hard to justify. And the thing is, if I wait for next Black Friday to get the S95H because it's better in every single way, what might happen is that we get a 240 hertz QD OLED TV, and then I'm definitely gonna wait. See, I'm not buying a 165 hertz TV knowing that there's a 240. So at the end, that's what I really want, 240 hertz QD OLED. But if the S95F goes down in price to $1,600, I am definitely buying it for the 65 inch, definitely. And if it's $1,800, most likely I will also buy it. So keeping my eye on the price, and hopefully this Black Friday we can get one. Okay, that's the goal. That is definitely the goal. I'm getting a $400,000 bonus instead of being fired if he's in Samsung Korea. Well, what is this? What are you talking about? $400,000 bonus? What are you talking about? Okay, let's see. Get some Reddit karma and post the receipt before returning to show everyone what a good deal you found in the open box. I did. I showed the receipt. Let me show you right now. I showed the receipt and everything. I did get a great deal on it. Let me show you. This was a great deal for an S95F. I was very happy with it. I bought it immediately. I bought it online first. Then I went to the store to test it, and I got the refund. So one thing I'm gonna tell you, so it doesn't happen to you. If you buy through the Best Buy app, don't pay with PayPal if you want a refund, because what happened is they could not refund me directly to PayPal because I pay through PayPal. They had to send me a physical check to my home. So I had to wait like 2 weeks to get that check. So that sucked. So I'm not buying through PayPal anymore, through the Best Buy app. I would buy with a card instead. So let me show you here. I did share the receipt of that TV I bought. Let me go back. We go back in time. It was not that far. Yeah, it's right here. Let me show you. Share the receipt. That was a great deal. I got it for like $1,200. Let me make myself smaller here. Okay. So, look at this. I'll show you the receipt. This is the picture. This is the picture when I was in the store. As you can see, this is the back of one of the registers at the store. A total mess. Of course, because we have some kids working at the Best Buy store. They don't care. I would be the same. I mean, this is me right here. I don't care about any of that. So this was the back of one of the machines, but they were very nice to let me try this. So this is my PC. Let me see if I can make the image bigger. This is my PC here, the one I built. This is the PS5 killer PC that I make a video about. That's the smallest case and lightest one, so that's the one I bring to the store. And what they did is they just put that TV on the floor, and the one connect box right here, all over the place, the cable going across the string, doesn't matter. But I was able to test it. So this is what I paid. $13.96. I thought it was cheaper actually. At the end, out the door was $1,500. So after taxes and all of that. So as you can see here, $13.96.99 open box, excellent. And I bought it ready for pickup in 1 hour. So this is what I paid total, $1529.35. $1,529.35. And this was April 7th. I thought, yeah, I bought it right there. I thought, well, excellent conditions, right? Open box, excellent. Excellent with 300 dead pixels. No original box. All dirty and busted up. I mean, this is bad. Bad. And I tried to take some pictures of the dead pixels. I didn't want to take too much time. The camera was not focusing well. It's just too small to see on camera. But yeah, with a full screen gray, you could definitely see it. Yeah, right now brand new, it's just too much. I think it's like $2,300. Let me see right now. It's 95F. Let's see how much it's right now. 65-inch from Samsung right now. Let's see, $2,500 right now from Samsung. $2,500. Oh God, that's a lot of money. I'm not paying $2,500 for Samsung, and this is not a good TV. Okay, let me make this very clear. Samsung TVs are bad. Okay, they have a lot of issues. The quality control absolutely sucks. But the thing is, the technology, the QD-OLED technology is actually the best. So the thing is, if you want the best picture quality, you have to suffer the Samsung consequences. But I'm not paying $2,500 for a Samsung TV. This is not a $2,500 product. Okay, this is a $1,000 product at best. And I'm willing to overpay for it, like, $1,500, $1,600. But yeah, it's just way too much money, man. It's not worth it. This is not a good TV. See, if you buy a Samsung TV, you have to make sure you can replace it. if you cannot replace it, you're most likely you're getting a bad unit, okay, with some issues, and you're screwed. So yeah, and LG is not doing that much better. LG was supposed to be the savior, but yeah, LG right now, the G6, based on Classitech calibrations, it's not even on a reviewable state. The LG G6 has so many issues. It's like, you remember the G5 had issues at launch? Well, Classic was saying this was actually worse. So basically, the discussion with the G6 right now is it worse than the G5 at launch? That's not a good place to be. This is not where LG wants to be. They have a worse technology, inferior. WRGB OLED is inferior. And they also have more issues. Picture quality issues we're talking about. The most important thing. So it just doesn't make any sense to buy an LG G6 right now. It's just, no. Especially when they cost the same. Cost the same as QD OLED. QD OLED is way better. So, yeah. Those workers had no idea who they were installing a TV for. Yeah, flipping it upside down in front of my face. I was like, man, these guys are like, oh my god. They just broke the TV in front of me. Absolutely insane. Oh, you're telling that Samsung employees getting $400,000 bonus due to the AI boom. They are striking about it. They're striking about getting a bonus? You mentioned that the guy who decided bezel should be fired. Though striking is usually when they are protesting. I mean, if they're getting a $400,000 bonus, I mean, they should be over the moon with that. That's a lot of money. I guess, they're just splitting the earnings, no? You care about picture quality, then you go and use frame generation with artifact. I don't use frame generation. I like the idea. I think the technology is they should be improving, should keep, making it better. But for the most part, I don't want to use frame generation. I use it sometimes if I don't have any choice. I'm not playing at 60 FPS, okay? So 120 is the bare minimum. Even with artifacts, with frame generation, 120 FPS is better than 60. The 60 is just not playable anymore. After you see 120, you don't want to play 60 anymore. It's like 30. After you see 60, you don't want to play 30 anymore. So yeah, let me remove the strings and put the new ones because I've been ranting about for 2 hours. I need to practice, man. I need to practice because let me tell you, I'm improving my guitar skills. And nothing feels better than improving. I think we can all relate to that. There's no better feeling in the world than making progress. For me, progress equal happiness. Like Tony Robbins likes to say. It could be making more money. Making more money is a good progress. Everyone likes that, right? So that happiness that comes from progress, it's just, there's nothing like it. So I'm improving on my guitar. I'm getting better and better. And yeah, it's just, I've been practicing a lot because of that. Because when you feel they're making some big progress, you don't want to stop playing because then you forget. Can look up Samsung workers reject. Also, they reject $340,000 one-time bonus? What? Why would they reject money? Oh, it's cheaper in Europe now. You got a C1? No, the C1 for BFI is just amazing. The clarity is just amazing. Absolutely incredible. Yeah, so you had a Samsung F8500. That's like the brightest plasma. Um, yeah, so I'm glad. Some people thought when I did the rant videos at the very beginning, I got the C1. I was very disappointed with the colors, and even when it wasn't OLED with perfect blacks, coming from a plasma, from a very like $25 plasma. That plasma was $1,000 back in the day, which is very cheap. Plasmas used to be, $6,000 for a 60-inch. So I was very disappointed with the colors of the C1, the WRGB OLED. I started tweaking the settings and all of that, and it is true that I didn't know about the settings, and the HDR game that I was playing was just totally broken, like God of War. It just absolutely sucks. But the thing is, I was right. I was right. This WRGB OLED is just not. There is something. There's something that looks wrong about it. There's something off about it. It's not. It's just even coming from a plasma. So yeah, the difference for me, QD OLED from WRGB to QD OLED, man, I'm telling you, don't make that mistake. Look, if you already have the G4, G5, G6, those are amazing TVs, of course. You're gonna like them, they're great. But if you are right now on the market to buy a TV, don't buy a WOLED, man. It's just not better. QD OLED is better, and it's not even close. I don't care what any reviewer says. You're wrong. Okay, you're wrong. If you think they are close and it's okay, you're just wrong. It's not close, man. QD OLED all day. Don't make that mistake. Now, the thing is, for example, on the monitors, for some reason, the QD OLED monitors are so low in brightness. So pathetically low. It's unbelievable. And then we have the WRGB OLED monitors that are significantly brighter. 1200 nits peak or something like that. And then you have a QD OLED that's like 1000 pixels, but in a 3% window, and then 400 nits or 600 nits on a 10% window, while the WRGB is doing over 1000 on a 10% window, or 800 or something like that. So the difference on the monitors is really, really big. So a lot of people might might prefer the higher brightness, but the thing is, with QD OLED, even brightness aside, you're looking at the same 100 nits example. QD OLED looks more correct, man. The colors look more correct. Like the color science, the way it hits your eyes or something, it just looks better. And for me, one of the biggest differences for me is that I can use my QD OLED TV the whole day. Like, it doesn't bother my eyes. See, I have very sensitive eyes. For some reason, I born with a defect on one of the muscles of my left eye doesn't work. Basically, this is a born defect. So when I cannot look up with my left eye, look, if I try to look up right now, see, my left eye doesn't go up. See, I have that problem. I can look to the sides, not that big of a problem. So for some reason, my left eye, when I study too much, or I don't sleep, or I do a big effort on the gym or something like a workout, my left eye gets red. Okay, so eye strain for me shows on my left eye getting more red. That happened a lot with my LG C1, which is not very bright, and it's not because I was using BFI. Even without using BFI, just using a TV with all the HDR brightness. With a QD OLED, it almost never happens. It almost never happens. I can play with that TV for a very long time. Unless I have no sleep or something, my left eye doesn't get red. So, and actually, I was expecting the opposite. I was expecting QD OLED to be, because it is a blue, OLED. I thought, blue, bad, right? The blue is going to strain my eyes more. It's going to be more uncomfortable or something. All the opposite, man. The QD OLED for my eyes, it's just so much more gentle, even when it is significantly brighter. I mean, even my S90D, which is it's probably the dimmest QD OLED TV ever. It's like, it's not even brighter than the S90C that I have upstairs. It still blows my C1 out of the water when it comes to brightness and color brightness, especially. My C1 looks almost monochrome in comparison. Now, the C1 has that motion that's just is 3 times better, okay? 120 BFI, my C1 is just amazing, but you have to separate the different aspects, okay? When it comes to brightness and colors and picture quality, yeah, this TV is just way brighter than the C1. And even then, it bothers my eyes less. So usually more brightness means more eye strain, right? I mean, you just increase the brightness, it bothers your eyes more. But even then, I can use the QD OLED TV for longer, and it doesn't bother me that much. So that is a big deal. I mean, it doesn't matter how good the G6 is. If I cannot use it for too long because that brightness bothers me, it's kind of a big deal. It doesn't matter how good it is, I cannot use it that long. So I haven't tried it. I cannot say that's gonna happen. Maybe it's the white balance of my C1. Actually, what I did was I created some blue light killer settings for my C1, and I actually enjoyed those. Even when I just messed up the white balance of the TV. But yeah, I don't feel the need to do that on the QD OLED. I don't have to. Just fine. Yeah, no 1000 hertz control will feel like a mouse. Absolutely not. I think that's a lot of people think, oh, we don't need faster controllers. We don't need 8000 hertz polling rate on the controller as a gimmick. My mouse is less than that. It feels more responsive. Yeah, because we don't have that issue. We don't have that lag issue with mouse. It's just the lag is issue with the controllers and with the sticks for some reason. 160 FPS and above is what I aim for. Even 120 feels kind of rough. Yeah, it does. And I'm telling you, for me, the threshold is 200 FPS. On my 360, I've been going back and forth, trying, okay, how much do I need? Do I need 160, 165 to see the difference? So I'm trying to gauge how much better that's gonna be on the TV. But here's the thing. The size of the display makes a big difference. This is a 27-inch monitor. Okay, 120 FPS on this 27-inch monitor is going to look more clear than 165 on a 77-inch QD OLED TV. And I was able to see a difference very clearly having a 55-inch TV side by side with a 65-inch TV. Same frame rate, and the 55-inch TV was more clear in motion. Clearly more clear, And it's because of the pixels per degree of view. You can clearly see that on your phone. You watch a video at 60 FPS or gameplay video or something on your phone, and it looks way smoother because of the screen size. You have less pixels filling your field of view. So with the bigger TVs, the bigger the size, the better. I really like it. But with more screen size, we need higher resolution. We need more than 4K. Yes. We need more than 144 hertz, more than 165. So yeah, I just don't get how people just try to I don't know why. What's the reason behind it? Maybe because they want to feel like their purchase is like, people want to feel like what they have is just end game, so they don't have to buy anything else, right? I get that. I mean, you don't want to have to be buying something every single year. But the thing is, these companies, they are just spoon feeding us the tech. They don't want you to have something that you don't have to upgrade anymore, or maybe at least next 5 years. They want to give you something that's almost the same with minor improvements every single year. And that's definitely the case with TVs. My God, these TVs are almost the same. The S95H is almost the same TV as the S95F. almost the same. Picture quality, almost the same. And they keep doing that. No one who has an S95F should buy an S95H. It just doesn't make any sense. What's the deal now with monitors? What's worth it? I don't think any monitor is worth it unless you want the 360 hertz plus, the 240 hertz plus OLED. Versus TVs, I will go TV all day. Why? Because for the money, you are getting a bigger screen, way bigger screen. Bigger is better. You're getting much brighter, better HDR, also better color gamut. For some reason, these QD monitors don't have the same color gamut as the TV. So picture quality and screen size is just so much better, and the price is just almost the same. Sometimes you buy a monitor for $1,200. Instead, you can buy a 55-inch TV for that money. And less. You can buy a 55-inch TV sometimes for $700-800. Brand new. On a Black Friday or discount, something like that. You cannot beat that. You cannot beat an $800 55-inch QD OLED TV. There's no monitor that comes even close to that. So that's the problem with the monitors, man. They are just too expensive. The monitors, in comparison with TVs, they should be $300-400. That's what they should be. Even then, it's kind of hard to justify. That's the problem with monitors. But if you ask me right now, if I had no choice, I had to buy a monitor. TVs were not an option. The monitor that I would buy is the newest QD OLED panel that looks more black under lighting conditions. They improved that, and I don't know why they didn't improve that on the TVs. I was expecting the S95H to have that technology, so it looks more black, less magenta, less washed out. And of course, I wish it had a glossy finish. So basically, it's a 3440 by 1440, 360 hertz QD OLED monitor. That's what I would buy. If I had no choice for monitors, that's the one I would buy. MSI has one, Asus has one, I think. So that's the monitor I would be interested in. 360 hertz QD OLED. Yeah, let me tell you, that's amazing. If you can get that frame rate, that's just incredible. I love this monitor. It's just too small, man. 27-inch, just too small. But that one's a little bit bigger. It's 34-inch. That's definitely a big jump. From 27 to 32-inch is a big jump. So 34-inch, 3440 by 1440, 360 hertz QD OLED. That looks more black. It's a little bit brighter too. That's BF5, but not great. BF5 kind of suck. I think it has BF5. Yeah, that one's, it's not good. It's just a basic black frame insertion. It's not great. But yeah, that's the one I would buy. But I would buy a TV. Better than that. All day. Any day, all day. TV is just the best. Let me tell you, I much rather play on a big TV with my 3080 than on a smaller monitor with a 5090. I'm telling you. For me, a screen size matters more than the performance, matters more than anything else. Unless I cannot play the game. Of course. So yeah. I also have the VR headsets on my list of things to get. I want to get a high-end VR headset. I'm gonna start. See, the thing is, I haven't had time for it, but I'm gonna start trying to reach out to VR headset companies because I don't want to get them for free or anything. I mean, I wish I could, but they are very expensive. I get it. So I'm okay with reviewing them. We're talking about $2,000-3,000 headsets. That's what I want to do. I want to get an incredible headset that is comfortable to use and it looks incredible. But I'm not gonna buy it before I try it because the thing with VR headsets is comfort. You have to try them to know if you feel good with them, if it doesn't give you like a headache, you know. they are gonna give you a little bit of a headache. It's kind of claustrophobic to use a headset. Um, but yeah, I want to try some high-end VR headset to see which one is the best for me, and then I would buy it. Or maybe if they can give it to me with a discount or something, like I can do a sponsor video or something. Let's see. But yeah, I definitely want to have a VR because I think VR is definitely the future, man. The thing is, they have to figure out a way to make VR more comfortable to use for more people. And the thing is, it's a very expensive thing. You know, you need a lot of power. You need a 5090 to run these VR games well. It's incredible how demanding, because you have two. You have to render two eyes. Like rendering two, it's like double the cost of the performance. So, for example, from 3080 to 5090, that's like 2.5x or something like that. So it's like you're back. So from a 5090, you're almost back to a 3080 experience on VR or something like that, you know. So is there a difference between using frame gen on a monitor versus a TV? Yeah, on the TV it's gonna look worse because you can see the flaws, you can see the artifacts better. The motion on the TV has to be better. And the thing is, with the TVs, you don't have 240 hertz plus. And that's, see, for me, frame generation at 120 FPS is like bare minimum. It's not great. And 240, so from 120 to 240, or 2x frame generation, that's actually pretty good. The thing is, the question is, would you play 140, 150 FPS with no frame generation, or would you play 240 FPS with frame generation? And the thing is, it depends on the game. If you're playing a first-person shooter, definitely you're not gonna use frame generation. But if you're not, you're just playing your Uncharted or whatever third-person action-adventure game, yeah, I think 240 FPS is the threshold, I think. Based on my experience, I think 240 FPS is the frame rate where motion clarity starts to happen, basically. Of course, the motion clarity is going to depend on how fast you're panning the camera, but usually when we're playing a third-person game, let's say Resident Evil or something, we're not panning the camera that fast. So 240 FPS is going to look clear to the point where I can see most people preferring to increase the graphics over increasing the performance. So basically what I'm saying right now is, if someone is already getting 240 FPS, it looks and feels so great, sample and hold, 8 full HDR brightness, that a lot of people are gonna be like, okay, if I could have a higher frame rate, I much rather turn on ray tracing, path tracing. And actually, I think I would agree with that for the most part. Unless it's a competitive game, for the most part, I think 240 is the sweet spot. Now, if you go down below 200, it's definitely gonna look blurrier. So I think that is the point where, see, I think that should be the target for the majority of the games, competitive or not. I'm talking about Crimson Desert, every single game, GTA 6. The target should be, can you play this game with high settings? It doesn't have to be the highest settings. With high settings, looking like optimized high settings. Can you play this game with optimized high settings on the best PC on the market right now at 240 FPS? If your game doesn't run at 240 FPS without frame generation on the best PC on the market, your game doesn't run well. That should be the standard. Okay, that should be the standard. Why? Because it's possible, number one. If you have the most powerful PC in the market or anything close to that, 240 FPS is possible on many games. So it is possible. It is the sweet spot. Most of the high-end gaming monitors we have are 240 hertz. So that should be the target. And also, if we have a game that runs at 240 FPS on the highest end PC, that means it's gonna run very well on the consoles too. So that should be the target. Very clear, very simple. I don't know why that's not the case. I don't know why these developers, I mean, we got a game the other day. Howard Unbox made a video about it. They were advertising 30 FPS. It was a Lego game. They were so the system requirements, they were advertising 30 FPS with frame generation on. So we're talking about a base frame rate of 15 FPS. They should get sued for that. Okay, there should be a lawsuit for that. Just put them in jail, bro. That should be illegal. You cannot do that. You simply cannot turn on frame generation to go from 15 frames per second to 30 and tell me that's get out of here, man. That's just not possible. You cannot do that. That cannot happen. I mean, even 60, that's not acceptable either with frame generation. 120 is bare minimum. 2x frame generation, 2x, okay, not MFG to get 120, okay? 2x 120, yeah, I have used that, okay? I think that's bare minimum. Below that, don't talk about frame generation, okay? No nonsense. Unacceptable. So yeah, man, it's a disgrace. What a disgrace. Prison time. Oh God. It's just Lego Batman, yeah, that's the one. 15 FPS native. That's just insane, bro. It's like that's below the standards. That's below all the standards from Nvidia. I mean, Nvidia wouldn't agree with that either. I mean, they love to say frame generation is performance, but no, that's like, you know, that's like 60, 70, 50, 90 performance at 549. No. That's a lie. That's just next level lying. Okay. That's offensive. That's a threat to the gaming community. No, I was going to buy the Steam controller. I'm not buying it because it's 250 hertz. That was the purpose of this live stream, to tell you I was very interested on the Steam controller, and I was gonna buy it because I couldn't imagine that they would release a controller in 2026 with all those features that is $100 with 250 hertz point rate. Why? Because, I mean, almost no third-party controller is below. I mean, almost all the controllers are 1000 hertz plus. Why? Because it's necessary. We need that. So how are you going to release a controller to the market that's going to be very popular controller that many people are going to buy, and you're going to do that with such a low performance? It just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. Let's do this, actually. Let's do this. I'm going to do this. When I finish putting the strings on the guitar, I'm going to do this. I'm going to show you in real time. I'm going to lower the polling rate of this controller to 250 hertz. And let's do the resolution test. And you're going to see what happens. The resolution basically goes down the toilet. Okay? And this controller is just not great. At 250 hertz, this controller is just not very good. It's just not. And the Steam is not gonna be better than this at 250 hertz. I guarantee you that. So yeah, maybe better input lag. It could have better input lag. I don't know what the input lag of this controller is. Wireless at 250 hertz, maybe A Steam controller is supposed to be 8 milliseconds, so this could be worse. I don't know the latency at 250 hertz. This one has worse latency at 1000 hertz than the original Game Surge G7 Pro. The original Game Surge G7 Pro at 1000 hertz had better latency, especially with the latest firmware update. They improved that, but again, that is something that they can improve with a firmware update. And yeah, I'm calling it out because Steam, Valve, they can do better. That's why I'm calling it out. I see a lot of people excited. I see a lot of influencers. Look, the Steam controller, amazing, you should buy it. Look at all these features. And I'm like, no, man, we have to call it out because these companies can do better. If all we do is to get excited about new product and buy new product and get excited about the next one, and here's the link in the description of the video, that's not gonna help the community get better products, man. No. That will not help. At the end of the day, I just want to get the best of the best we can get. That's it. Why? Because I'm going to use it. If I'm going to use something, I want it to be as good as it can be. I mean, that's just a no-brainer. But it seems like a lot of these influencers, they just care about getting paid or getting the new products for the videos to be early and all of that. And they are not gamers. They don't play anyway. They don't care. They're not going to play any games anyway. The thing they do is just to make a video to get views and make money. That's it. And I do want to get views and make money and make this channel be profitable, of course. But I'm never gonna be like, here's a new product, I'm excited about it, and here's the next product I'm also excited about it, and everything is amazing, everything is wonderful. See, look, for me, it would be impossible right now to be a TV or display reviewer that has, put a link in the description of the video for you to buy things and all of that. Because I don't recommend anything that is not the absolute best. When it comes to a review, okay, sponsored video is different. Sponsored video, I'm telling you, I'm getting paid to promote this product. That is different. But if you send me a TV for review and send me another one of that, I cannot tell you to buy every single TV when I only recommend one. See, I would only recommend the best. I'm not going to recommend you anything that's not the best. So anything else that is not the best, I just don't even care about it. See, the reason why I like different controllers is because none of these controllers are the best. None of them. There's not a single controller right now that I can tell you this controller is the best at everything. And there's nothing that does anything better than this at anything, We don't have the ultimate controller. They all have their own thing that they do very well. So I actually like to have different controllers because I know what each one of them do well that I like for a specific game or for a specific experience. So I actually use most of them. So I can make a review and tell you, look, if you are looking for this controller can do it well, so I think I would recommend it in that case. But when it comes to a TV, you want the best for the best money. Like, why would you buy something worse that's cost the same? Okay, picture quality is either better or it's not. There's no, but the colors on this TV is better, but the brightness on that one is worse, and the motion of this, no, there's none of that. It's just which one is the best, and that's it. I wouldn't recommend anything else. So it's different, But as soon as we get a controller that's just better at everything, I would not recommend anything else. I would not be interested in reviewing anything else. I wouldn't even use any other controller because this controller would be the best and at everything, and there's no reason to consider anything else. And that's what I would tell you. I would be like, okay, I'm not recommending anything else. This is the only one. That's it, the chosen one. But we don't have that. That's why I think it's interesting, the controller market right now is actually pretty interesting. The Elite controller sucks. Yeah, a lot of people, I've heard that from a lot of people saying that the Elite controller is not actually pretty good. Hey, we have 60 in the chat. I mean, this live stream is being fired. Just changing the strings on my guitar. I'm going crazy with the controller. No, I think the Steam controller is actually a very hot topic right now. And there's a lot of chills out there, man. I don't understand why. If you want a regular controller, then the Steam controller isn't for you. For me, the Fly Digi isn't a real option. I mean, again, I reach out to Fly Digi and ask them, hey, can you send me a controller? Maybe I got the wrong email. I haven't got a reply. But I know, see, basically, I just want to make a video about the controller to point out that the Hall effects are just outdated technology, and to tell Fly Digi, look, your controller is good on this and this and that, but you have to update the sticks, man. Come on. You have to update the sticks. Hall effects, that's just not good enough anymore. We have better now. So, yeah, that's it. And so you're saying that the Fly Digi that you held up has a built-in gyro dead zone? No, I don't have a Fly Digi controller. That makes it less accurate than other controllers. That's not absolute best for gyro. See, the thing is, I have to say, the only controllers that I have seen the gyro be usable has been the Gulikit TT Max. But the thing is, you have no software yet. They told me that they were gonna release a software. I don't think it's available yet. If they release options for the gyro and all that, maybe. But the thing with the gyro is we need a native implementation. Because look, the gyro on this controller is usable. It's very fast. It's actually good. But the problem is, for me to use the gyro on the controller, I have to map gyro to mouse. Problem with that. For example, Battlefield 6. If I keep using the left joystick as the left joystick to move around, and then I have the right stick gyro to mouse, so I have the right stick as a mouse and the gyro to mouse, or even as a stick, whatever, the game changing from keyboard layout to controller layout causes the camera to jump. It's like, bah! Suddenly you're looking up, you know? So you cannot play. You cannot play like that. You have to map the left joystick to WASD, and now you're playing with a stick, and it feels so wrong. I mean, WASD is fine if you're using a keyboard, but to use a stick, and as soon as you start moving the stick, it just maxes out input, and it only goes 4 ways. It's not even I mean, you can go diagonally, right? If you go, you know, but it's basically you only have back and forth, back and forward, you know, sideways and diagonally. That sucks, and you don't have the granularity to move faster or slower, so it just feels terrible to use the left joystick as a WASD, and then the gyro to mouse actually works, but the problem, for example, this controller has a problem, and I told them, I don't know if they're gonna listen to this. I don't know if the people I have the email, they are just the people who send the controller, not the engineers, most likely. But I don't know if they can reach out. But I'll tell them very clear. This controller has an issue to use the gyro. Gyro is good, but see, gyro is good on aim labs, okay? But the problem is when you're actually playing the game, if you use the right stick as a mouse, the camera panning is stuttering. So it just sucks. I mean, basically, even if you're not using the gyro, forget about the gyro. If you map the right stick as a mouse, camera panning is stuttering. It looks like uneven for some reason. That's a problem. That's a problem. And it's not the low polling rate. I already tested that. The polling rate is high. So the gyro is actually good, but I have to be able to smoothly pan the camera. So the thing is, yeah, you can set it to D input and you can use the gyro through Steam natively, but then the gyro is limited to 1000 hertz to 100 hertz polling rate for some reason. That needs to get fixed. But that's a Steam issue, so the game server cannot do anything about that. So the situation with the gyro right now is that, yes, I like gyro, and the gyro on this controller is actually very, very responsive. And I have other controllers that have good gyro too. But the controllers that have gyro to stick only, it's just not good enough. Gyro to stick doesn't work well. You need gyro to mouse to have that predictable, fast movement. And it's a problem. It needs to be native gyro to mouse, and it needs to work like your regular controller, but then you have gyro and it behaves like a mouse. And we don't have that, basically. We don't have that option. So these controller companies, they need to figure that out. Maybe now with the Steam controller, they fix that situation with the gyro, but why would they? If the Steam controller is 250 hertz, why would they care about the native gyro implementation to work at 8000 hertz polling rate? They would not care about that. Gyro to right stick should be illegal. Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's... Yeah, the thing is, if it worked great, you could have gyro with aim assist. That could definitely be considered illegal, you know? Because gyro is the closest thing you're gonna have to mouse where... See, the problem with the stick is that you have a speed and in which how fast you can pan the camera. So when you move, there is a speed to it, right? Which you can change by, you know, moving it to the outer edge, or in the middle or something. But the biggest difference with a mouse, and that you also have with the gyro, is that you can have that instant speed, right? So think about this. With the gyro, you can move very fast, like a mouse, and on top of that, you can have aim assist if you have the gyro to right stick. The thing is, the gyro to right stick doesn't work very well. But if it did, if it was great, like, for example, one thing happens is you do this, and sometimes if you move the gyro too fast, it might not move on the screen. So if you do it slow, it moves, but if you do it too fast and you have the gyro to stick, it doesn't work. And the reason why it doesn't work is because the stick is supposed to have this limit in how fast you can move, basically. You see the problem? So with the gyro, with the controller in your hands, you can move as fast as you can move your hands, but the stick cannot do that. So basically, you have to get used to move your controller at a certain speed. If you go over that, you move the controller and nothing is you're not gonna get the same direct input on the screen. That's why it doesn't work very well. Now, when you do gyro to mouse, now you have that 1-to-1. You move the controller and you get the camera moving. So, but then you have to map WASD to left stick, which is not great. So I want, basically what I'm saying right now is I want the gyro performance, but I want to be able to tweak the gyro settings and to have the left stick to behave like a left stick. Basically, I want to have a controller that has gyro. I don't want to have to simulate mouse and keyboard with a controller. That's my point. And we don't have that. And I don't like aim assist. I turned that off completely. I started at the beginning of the stream saying, I don't understand why we have so many people that love controllers. They have a bunch of controllers. And the first thing that they do with every single controller is that they lower the resolution of the sticks to 8 bits to use aim assist. I'm like, why are you even buying a new controller? You're making your controllers all the same. You're making them worse to use aim assist. I mean, I want to improve my aiming and get a more precise controller. and I want to turn off aim assist. Like, it doesn't feel rewarding to snap into the targets. It just doesn't feel great. I get no reward unless I am the one, aiming. I turn that off completely. That's so annoying for me to use aim assist. I don't enjoy the game. I don't care. I understand you can play better with aim assist, obviously, but I don't like it. I don't like it. So you think that situation with the gyro is on the developer's hands. But I don't know, man, because, for example, Battlefield 6 supposedly has native gyro support. I have a bunch of controllers that have gyro, and I cannot use native gyro support on Battlefield 6 on most of the controllers. And then if I use it through Steam, it's limited to 100 hertz or 125, 150 hertz, something like that. Why? Steam needs to figure that out. They have to fix that. So yeah, I'm reaching out to all these companies. I'm reaching out and be like, look, your controller, you need to fix this. You need to do this and that, and hopefully that makes a difference. See, that's the biggest advantage when I get in contact with these companies, because I'm very picky. I'm gonna tell them, look, this doesn't work. This is bad. And fix it, and they can, if they listen, they can actually improve their product. Because it's like sometimes these companies, they make these products, but they're not gamers or something, I don't know. Native gyro is limited to Sony controllers because Microsoft doesn't have it and Nintendo doesn't like PC. Well, that seems to be pretty accurate. Battlefield 6 native gyro is a case study on how not to do UI UX. My God, I mean, I'm. You tell me how. See, I have a bunch of controllers that have gyro. How do I even use that Battlefield 6 gyro? Okay, tell me. I wanna watch a YouTube video that shows me how to do that. So yeah. So I think I changed my strings already after 2 hours. Went pretty smoothly. And I'm gonna do a guitar live stream. That's a big controller under my arm. Which one is? The G7 Pro. The G7 Pro is good. Now I'm looking forward to getting the F1 review sample. I'm still waiting for it. They're taking forever. I think they keep delaying the launch of the controller because they have a lot to fix. But that controller is really, really fast. Not the highest resolution. Oh, I said I was gonna use. Wait. Before we finish the stream, because I already tuned the guitar. I already changed the strings. Let me tune it for a moment. And before we end the stream, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you in real time what happens to the stick resolution of the G7 Pro AK when I lower it from 8,000 all the way down to 250. I'm gonna show you that very clear, so you understand why, what I'm talking about here when it comes to smoothness and the camera panning. So we're gonna get into it before we finish the stream. Microsoft must implement a decent new X input and add gyro to their next console, but they won't do it. That exactly, man. See, because the thing is, you get a new controller that's called whatever, you connect it to your PC, and your PC thinks that you just connected an Xbox 360 controller. There's something wrong about that, man. They have to figure that out. Okay, Microsoft, these controller companies, they have to figure it out. Because if I buy a new controller and I connect it to my PC, the most basic thing would be for my PC to know, oh look, this is, a GuliKit TT Max or GameSurge G7 Pro or 8-bit DO Pro 3. I mean, obviously, right? No, your PC thinks it's an Xbox 360. So it's like Xbox 360 doesn't have gyro, it doesn't have extra buttons. So now we need an app to change things. And then if you change the controller to D input, you can have on a Steam, you can have the ability to calibrate the gyro and map the extra buttons and all that. But then the problem is the polling rate for some reason just goes down. It's like, man, can we have it all? I bought a controller that is capable, but the problem with the software, Steam, Windows, and all that is limiting what the controller can do. I know with the right software, Windows, Steam, and all that, I know I can have an amazing gyro gaming with this controller. I cannot because it just the software, you know. It's a problem, and they have to figure that out. Ironically, if there's no native gyro support, Steam input and gyro to mouse. Yeah, and that's another thing. We have to figure out a way to use it regardless of... See, every time we have to depend on the developers to have a good experience, every time we have to depend on Steam to change something, or we're screwed, okay? We need that HDR fix out of the hands of the developers, the modders, and yeah, that's so we need to figure that out for the controllers too. Once we have an app that can fix everything somehow, then we'll be in good shape. It's hard to explain on a YouTube chat, but the video I linked will tell you all you need. So do this. Don't put a link because the YouTube deletes the link. So make a comment, so when I finish the live stream I can read it if you know. Make a comment and tell me the name of the video. Don't put the link because the YouTube deletes the comment. But if you tell me the name of the video, I can check it out. Because I need to learn about this. I wanna get into it. Look, day number 2 of me trying gyro, I broke my aim lapse record on the 6th shot. 2nd day. See, I've been practicing with the stick for 4 months with different controllers. 4 months. Day number 2 with gyro, I broke my record. So clearly, gyro has potential, right? So, but I cannot use it because of the, this problem we're talking about. I would love to be able to use it. I would laser the competition with the gyro. All these mouse and keyboard players, I'm like, I'm faster now. See? Bam, 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 bam. It's like having a gun on the screen and be like, Actually, I was thinking to have the control on the right hand with the gyro, and then maybe the keyboard on the left hand for WASD, and be like using the control as a gun, like pa 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 pa, moving with the keyboard. That works. That works because I have the gyro map to mouse, so the game thinks that I'm just using a mouse and keyboard. Yes, third-party firmware have too many quirks like that. When you're doing Resident Evil 4, yeah, I have to create some space. I will. Someone gifted me the Resident Evil 4. Was it you? I'm definitely gonna play it. I redeemed the code. It worked. I'm definitely gonna play it. I'm gonna stream it. People that hate on gyro clearly didn't try it or tried Nintendo Wii years ago. Oh, I love the Wii. Actually, I did have a Wii. I love the sports game, the tennis. That was amazing. Yeah, someone gifted me Resident Evil 4. And actually the Ultimate Edition, or the most premium edition. It's amazing, so I'm gonna apply it for sure. I'm gonna stream it. The video is called How to Enable Gyro in Battlefield 6 on PS5. Okay, I'll check it out. But drop it as a comment so I don't forget. I can sometimes when I finish the stream, YouTube processing doesn't show the comments and I forget. So instead of a live comment, drop like a comment on the stream so I can see it when the stream is done. when are you going to stream it? Oh, when I have a chance. I mean, I haven't been making any videos for the past 10 days. I mean, I've been busy and practicing the guitar. So let's see, when I have a chance I will stream it. And I do have to create some space because my PC is full. That game is over 60 gigabytes. But I will stream it for sure. If you want help with gyro stuff, you can join the gyro. So there's a Discord for that. Yeah, I'm sure there's some people already figured it out. At least how to get the best, compromise, right? Yeah, we can try to help you use gyro in all your controls if you want. Oh, absolutely, man. So you are one of them. You are one of the gyro Discord people, or like a moderator, or you have a YouTube channel about that? Yeah, sometimes I don't know who I'm speaking. I mean, I never know who I'm speaking with, but sometimes I know people from the comments and go into the YouTube channel. Or sometimes we have high-profile people on the chat. I mean, I'm surprised with my guitar channel. I have some very high-profile people watching. I'm talking about some of the best guitarists in the world watching the videos and the live stream. Sometimes they comment, sometimes they don't say anything, but when I speak with someone else, they tell me about it. It's kind of, I mean, you never know who's watching. So that's crazy about YouTube. Oh, you're in the Discord, okay. We have people who try all kinds of controllers there. Okay, good. So now we have some people from the controller community. So we're entering the controller community now. Because before I never talk about this stuff. Okay, this is done. Let me show you before we end the stream. Let's check this out. This is going to be a comparison on what happens to the performance of your controller when you go from 8,000 hertz. Some people think, oh, 8,000 hertz is a gimmick. It doesn't matter. The human eye cannot tell the difference. Okay, well, we're gonna go from 8,000 hertz. So now I'm streaming on SDR. The game is on HDR. Well, let's not open the game then. I'm going to use this benchmark. I'm gonna use this benchmark, these two benchmarks. I'm gonna show you what happens when you downgrade the sticks of your controller to 250 hertz. Okay, so let me open the app here. Okay, so this is let me see. No, I'm gonna play Crimson Desert. I like Crimson Desert. I'm gonna play it for sure. So, okay, so we have 8,000 hertz polling rate. Now let me check if there's any firmware updates. No, not yet. I have to. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna show you. First, this is the stick analyzer. So you can see right now the polling rate is on the bottom right corner. So you can see on the bottom right corner, 7,800 hertz, right? You can see 12 bits. Now I'm going to reset this. I'm going to open this program to do a resolution test. Okay, so we're gonna see what's the resolution of these. Okay, what happens? It's not opening for some reason. Oh, maybe because the app is. Let me close the app, maybe. try it again. Huh, this is not working. Let me close this. Okay, let me figure this out. See what's going on with this. Maybe I copy and pasted the app. If not, I would just download the. Yeah, it doesn't work as a copy and paste for some reason. Maybe there's some files that are attached to it. So let me do this. Okay, so let's do this test. Let's do this test. So here, this test depends on your hands. You have to repeat it multiple times to get an accurate result, but I'm just gonna try it, you know, just gonna try as good as I can and see what we get. This is with 8,000 Hertz polling rate. So you have to move the stick from the center to the outer edge. See, that took too long. So it was a failed movement. So we're gonna try again a little bit faster. So usually when I fail, I start from the beginning, but that's fine. It's just a reference. We're gonna see the difference. So what I'm doing is I'm moving the stick from the center to the outer edge and then back and forth basically. So you need to do that 5 times at least within 4 seconds. So imagine trying to move the stick. This test is also trying to test the linearity of the sticks. So imagine trying to move the stick in a straight line from the center to the outer edge in 4 seconds or less. See, I took too long on that one. It's kind of hard because it's hard to move the stick perfectly in a straight line. So ideally, you would want a machine to do this test, right? So now, okay, so press keyboard, error visualizing results. I don't know what's going on with this app now. Let me download the latest version because this one's not working. This one is just for some reason not working well. Let me try to go to Gamepad LA and download the latest one. By the way, we have some Steam controller numbers here we can check out. This is the website that compiles all the controller numbers, all the controller review. So there is a tool to test the latency of the sticks that works with an app that you download from here. So basically you would have to get that tool and get that app to test the latency. That's all the numbers that we see here from the latency. So yeah, here's the Steam controller. So we can see here this test has been user verified already. So we can see the latency of the buttons is these bars right here. So using X input wired, the latency of the buttons is 6.6 milliseconds. That's not bad. It's not great. It's not bad. The stick latency 4.1 millisecond. That's actually very good, very, very good. A stick latency wired, and then wireless with the dongle here. You're getting 9.1 milliseconds of latency for the buttons and 7.3 milliseconds of latency for the sticks. That is very good. That's a very, very good latency. Not top performer, but for example, that latency is way better than this Baytone controller that I bought. Way better than this. But the thing is, the resolution of the sticks, that's what we need to see. And that's not gonna be great. So let's check that out. Now, the Bluetooth results here, this is a stellar for Bluetooth. Very impressive, the Bluetooth being 8 milliseconds of latency. This is great. Great latency for the sticks and for the buttons. 9.88. This is great. In comparison with many controllers, that's actually very, very good latency. Let's see. Well, actually, there's a stick resolution test right here. Look. Resolution 600. I knew it. What did I say at the beginning of the stream? That's gonna have, 250, 500 resolution. There you go, 600. Do I know how that feels like? Yes, I know exactly, because I tested the 8-bit DOE Pro 3, which had a 600 resolution, 600 resolution. That doesn't look great. That looks doesn't look stuttery. It looks smooth, but I can see the difference on the precision of the stick when I'm panning the camera. And it is a big difference between this and something like the original GameSir G7 Pro. Big difference. Big difference. When you go from 600 to over 1000, you can tell the difference. 1200, for example, my Machinike F1 is 1200. Big difference. And when you go from 1200 to 2000, 2500, big difference. And then 4000, yes, you can tell the difference too. So this is a big deal, and I'm glad that they showed that test here. Now the linearity here, again, it depends on how good you do the test. Maybe they were using a machine for this test, maybe, I don't know. 274 hertz was the polling rate on this test. And again, this is not a terrible result or anything like that, but we're talking about a controller that cost $100 that has TMR joysticks that could perform better. Now, we're gonna test the resolution of the sticks of the G7 Pro at 8000 hertz, and then we're gonna lower the polling rate to 250 hertz, and you're gonna see what happens. You're gonna see the potential of this controller if it was not such a low polling rate. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna download the app. So let me go back and download the app to test the okay, let's go. Okay. So now okay. So let's do this now. I'll show you. We're gonna do the test at 8000. Hopefully it works now this time. Get this out of the way. I'll put this at the top. Okay. So let's try this. I need to concentrate because this is not an easy thing to do, actually. You have to move the stick very slowly, but it needs to last 4 seconds, below 4 seconds. You don't want to do it too fast because then you don't see the full resolution. You have to try to do it slowly. If you do it like in 1 second or 2, you don't see the full resolution. Now, for some reason, in this test, I'm getting like 44,000 data points. There's something wrong with that. That's not normal. I should be getting 8,000 data points, something like that. But 42, 50,000 data points, there's something wrong about that. I don't know what's going on, because that means the controller has a lot of noise. I messed up all these tests, but let's see. Okay, let's see what we get. Man, again, it's failing. I don't know why. Error visualizing results, fail to create icon. I don't know why it's failing. Okay, so let's see. Okay, well, look at the resolution here. It's just the visualization is not working. But look, you can see resolution 3,857. It could be higher than that. Okay, but this looks very wrong, by the way. I don't know why this controller is not. See, this tremor, this is noise, okay? Processing noise and all of that. This is too high, 92, 93%. There's something wrong about this. This should not be happening at all. For example, look at this Steam controller here. That shows the stick analyzer. Tremor could be 40%, 50%, something like that. For example, look, tremor 60%. That's bad too, but it's not out of the possibilities, right? But over 90% tremor, there's something wrong about this test, this controller with the firmware. I don't know, something is not working right. But the resolution makes sense. I mean, yeah, resolution 4,000, that's what I get usually. At 8,000 hertz polling rate, I get like 4,000 resolution. Okay, so if I keep trying this test, I would get something like that. So let's try another one. So let's try, see if we can do this test again. Oh, it just exits. Okay, well, give me a second here. Let me open the. Let me do this, man. I cannot do a. See if this works. Just for some reason, it's blocking this thing. Okay, so let's do this. I'm gonna try one more time, just to see if I can get 4,000 plus, which is what I should be getting. And then I'm gonna lower the polling rate to 250 hertz. We'll see what happens. So this is, let me make this bigger here. Okay, so let me get myself out of the way. Okay, so, oh, wait, I have to do this again because it was moving. Okay, let's try again one more time. Trying to do it better now. This is a very demanding thing to do, let me tell you. If you want to do it well, to move the stick perfectly at the same speed in a straight line, back and forth, and it needs to last below 4 seconds to have the highest result. Not easy. Okay, we need one more. 5 times you have to do it. See, I failed that one. Okay, let's see if we can show that already. Okay. So again, about the same, 3800 resolution. I've get sometimes I've got 4,000. But that's all we got, okay? Now I'm going to lower the polling rate to 250 hertz, and let's see what happens. See what happens with that resolution. 250 hertz. Bare minimum. So now, let's try this again. Okay, let's go. That's too slow. Look at the data points now. We went from 50,000 to 2,000 data points. Too slow. I'm trying to do it as slow as possible so I can get a higher score. I was doing it too slow at the beginning. 3.9 seconds. See, that's as slow as I can do it. So we barely get 2,000 data points. And by the way, I haven't done this test ever. I've never lowered this to 250 hertz. This is the first time I try this. And this was not a good test. Might have to repeat it, but yeah, let's see what it shows now. Okay, look at the resolution. 909. So it's like 1,000, okay? That's very good. That's very good for 250 hertz, almost 1,000 resolution. That's impressive. That's way better than the Steam. The Steam controller. The Steam controller has a 600. So this result, we're getting 909 resolution. Look at the Steam 600. Now, don't look at the linearity. The linearity got messed up because of me. If I keep trying the test and trying a better job of moving the stick, I can get a better result for the linearity. And usually it's easier to get a higher score on the linearity when you have lower polling rate, lower resolution. So, can I tell the difference now if I go into a game? So right now we have this controller at 250 hertz, and it has better latency. It has better resolution than this Steam controller. Now, will this be a problem? Like if I try to open a game, let's try it. I'm gonna try to open Battlefield 6. So I'm gonna have to let me turn off HDR on the display so I can open the game on SDR because I'm streaming on SDR. Okay, so we have SDR. I'm gonna open Battlefield 6. And I'm gonna go back and forth between 250 hertz and 8,000. Okay. Okay, let's see. Battlefield 6. And I'll be honest, okay, if I cannot tell the difference, I'm gonna tell you, okay. If the camera panel looks the same, I'm gonna tell you. I have not tried 250 hertz ever. Definitely not on this controller. So, but I did try it on other controllers, and I know what happens. But let's see, because this controller actually has a very high resolution at 250 hertz, almost 1,000. That's very impressive. Very impressive. So let's open. Battlefield is open. Let's wait for that. If I have considered using the Guitar Hero controller, I play the guitar for real. I don't have to use the control. I have an electric guitar and everything. I know how to play all of that. Yeah, and let's talk about this. Let's talk about that See, what someone is saying, oh, according to that gamepad LA, this controller has better latency than the other controller. We're gonna talk about that. That is actually very misleading to just go and look at the latency of the controllers and then think, oh, this controller is better because it has a lower latency. Let me tell you, we'll talk about that. This is a very, very important thing. Now, look, this is Battlefield 6. Let me get myself out of the way. Okay. On SDR, it looks kind of weird, let me tell you. The contrast looks wrong. I don't know why. It just looks so wrong on SDR. I don't know why this happens on Battlefield 6. I tried this on my Plasma and I'm like, man, this looks so bad in comparison. Is it the TV settings or something? No, it's just the game is clipping or something. You know, it looks washed out. The whites are washed out for some reason. Okay, but now, if I'm playing, okay, we're 250 hertz. So let's think this is the Steam controller right now, and it is not. This one is actually better. Okay, we have a higher resolution on the sticks on this one. Now, I have another way to lower the resolution of the sticks, by the way. I can lower the bitness. So we can try that. So 900, does this look bad when I'm panning the camera? Let me see what's the frame rate I'm getting here. Let me open, because this is important. I always lock the frame rate, so I'm gonna do the same. So I have the same, I see the same experience that I see when I'm playing. So we have, trying to show the MSI afterburner numbers here. Okay, here it is. Okay, so we're locked to 138. No issue with the performance, no stuttering, nothing, okay? Let me focus on the screen. Does this look bad? When I'm panning the camera, does it look smooth? Yes, it does look smooth. It doesn't look stuttery at all. It looks smooth, right? Man, the thing is, the targets are so hard to see, the black lines of the targets, because it's looking washed out on SDR. This game doesn't look good on SDR. There's something wrong with it. But yeah, this doesn't look bad at all. It looks actually smooth. There's also a stutter there, but it looks smooth. Let me try a sniper. I'm gonna try this one. So I can see the targets, because the color grading on SDR is so weird. Okay, so I'm looking at it right now. So if I didn't know better, I buy my Steam controller, 250 hertz, I do this, I'm like, yeah man, this is fine. Although again, this is better on the Steam controller. Actually, let's do this to have a like-for-like comparison. I'm gonna lower the bitness to try to get 600 resolution to match that Steam controller. I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna lower the sticks to maybe, let me lower this to 9 bits maybe. Something like that. See if that, if this way I can get the same, see if this way I can get the same, give me a second here. Let me open the stick analyzer app again, because I want to see if I can get the same 600 resolution. Okay, let's try that. get myself out of the way here. So let's see what's the resolution now. If I can get 600, like the Steam controller, because I want to have the same. It's never gonna be exactly the same, but you know, we can get a better approximation. Oh, look at that now. We're getting 670 data points, so maybe we're gonna go below 600 now. Maybe I would need to do like 10 bits, maybe 10 or 11. Yeah, we're doing way lower now. Okay, let's see how we did here. So now this is lower than the Steam, so it's 449. So let me increase the, I'm gonna increase it a little bit. So maybe with 11 maybe. I think 11 might be the sweet spot. Let's try again. Okay, let's see now if we can get 600. Man, it's not gonna be exactly the same, but that might be too high. I think with 10 we're gonna get that. So we're at 11 bits now, so that's still too high. Okay, let's see now. Look, perfect. Look, we have a resolution of 615. So now let's compare that. Actually, it's very close to a Steam controller. Look, we have. Let me get myself out of the way here. Look at this. So we basically almost match the Steam controller here. We have on the same test the data points 1300, 1200, resolution 615, here 600, the tremor 60%, so the tremor here 48%, a little bit better. So almost the same, okay? Linearity is significantly worse, but that's me with my thumb. It's not precise enough to, you know, I have to repeat it multiple times until I can get a better result. But the stick resolution is what we're looking at here. 600. Same polling rate, same stick resolution. Okay? Now the thing is, will you be able to tell the difference if you're actually just playing the game? Now, this is the Steam right now, almost very close to a Steam controller, okay? Of course, each controller has their own curve and all of that. It's not gonna be the same, but you get the idea. Would I be unhappy with this right now? No, this actually looks smooth. I don't see any problem with this. See, I buy the Steam controller, I play Battlefield 6, and I see this, and I will go to the comment section of this live stream and be like, what is this guy talking about? This controller feels smooth. I don't see any problem with this. I actually love it. This is perfect. You know, playing the game is perfect. I don't see any problem. What was this guy talking about? So I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna switch to 8000 hertz with 12 bits. And I'm gonna tell you honestly, I'm gonna tell you if I can see a difference. I'm looking at the detail, okay? Okay. I'm gonna change 12 bits, 8000 hertz. Oh my god. Of course, the stream is at 60 FPS. The difference is huge, man. I don't know if you can see that on the stream. And it's also, if I could make the change in real time, but I cannot, because when you change the polling rate, the controller restarts. So even if you change the profile, it would restart. But I can do that, try to make the change faster. I can do that. So I can have, the thing is, I created this gyro to stick. Let me do this. I'm gonna turn off the gyro on this one. Okay. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to lower the polling rate here on this profile, and I'm going to lower the sticks to 11. So then I'm gonna try to switch back and forth. So this one is no, this is not. So I'm trying to learn which one is one. So one is up, two is to the left. Okay. One is up, two to the left. Okay. So you see how the controller restarts every time, but at least I can do it faster. So now I'm looking at this. Let's see if I can tell the difference. Kind of weird that this one has a dead zone or something. It is a slower, actually. Not only the motion, it's actually slower. Oh, because no, I noticed. Yeah, I noticed there was a big difference on the, because I'm using a custom curve here. Yeah, because these are for the gyro settings. Man, the thing is, I don't want to mess up my gyro settings here. I don't want to mess this up. So the thing is, man, look, you're gonna be able to tell the difference. The difference is not that big that you're gonna be like unhappy if you get that controller for the sticks. But if you know better, you will tell the difference. You're going to know. So yeah, this one, you're gonna know, man. It's not terrible. But when I go from this, 250 hertz, 600 resolution, like if I didn't know better, I would be okay with this. I'll be like, yeah, this looks smooth. I don't have any problem with this. I don't know what that guy is talking about. This is just perfect. No problem whatsoever, right? And actually, from my DualSense to this experience, I'll be like, man, this is amazing. It's so much better than my DualSense. It's not even close. It looks smoother. There's no, issues like with drift or anything. I'm trying to smooth around. It looks great. Like no issues. The problem is when you see better, when you do this. When you do this, now you go back. Like, holy crap, this feels like it has better motion magically. And it cannot have better motion, but the motion clarity of the display is the same, but the thing is the input is smoother. I'm still getting the same frame rate and some stutters that I notice sometimes. But it's just the input on the screen is smoother, man. And I can clearly tell that. But I understand. The improvement, the big difference is CPU usage. Yeah, the CPU percentage does go up. Actually, we didn't pay attention to that on this one, but I did pay attention to that in a live stream one day. Let me get myself out of the way. It does matter. So what I found was that from 500 hertz to 1000 hertz was the biggest jump. After 1000 hertz, the CPU was almost the same. So right now, for example, the CPU utilization is 54%, 53%, and it's stuttering for some reason. I don't know why. It's not, usually doesn't stutter at all. So you see 52, 53%, 50. If I lower that to 1000 hertz, it's almost the same. You're gonna see. Smooth. 41. Well, actually, maybe with a different controller it's different. Because I tried this with my F1. I tried this with the Machinike F1, and from 1000 to 8000 was almost the same. But now here we actually drop from 51 to 50. We dropped to 39, 37. So we dropped like a 10% on the CPU utilization, actually, from 8000 to 1000. And we don't have the 500 hertz option. That's interesting. Maybe I can compare this controller CPU utilization with the F1 at 8000 hertz. Might be different. But yeah, that was a massive jump. Let's see if I go down to 250. See if that. See, from 250 we're at 35%, 36%, 1000, 41%, 40, 41. So that's like a 5% increase. Then 4000. 56%, 53, 52. That's a massive difference. So like a 10% plus difference. Now from 40,000 to 8,000, another 10%. So 52, 53. No, it's getting stable now. 52, 53. No, it's almost the same. 50, 51, 52. Yeah, initially 55, maybe like 2 or 3%. So from 4,000 to 8,000, almost the same. Now, that was different on the F1 controller. 8,000, from 1,000 to 8,000 was the same. I tested this in Battlefield right here. It was almost the same. But then from 1,000 to 500, big difference, massive difference, and then it didn't matter. So maybe it depends on the controller or two. I'm gonna check that out. PS5 controller has 8,000 hertz, it's the same thing, and it's fast. Like if you overclock it, it doesn't improve that much. It's still 8 bits. The resolution of the stick is still 8 bits. You think that's not worth it? But the thing is, this game, at the frame rate I'm playing it doesn't drop. It's like it wouldn't matter for me. But if you're trying to get as high as possible, if you're playing it on a 360 a monitor, maybe it does matter. So of course the frame rate of the game matters. If you're dropping frames from the game, definitely lower the polling rate, see if you can get a little bit higher. But I think it's gonna be hard to find that case. I might try on my monitor. Do a live stream, go back and forth. I don't know if it's gonna be entertaining, but that might be interesting to see the difference between this 8K controller and the F1 controller. And the thing is, I'm waiting for the review sample on that controller, because they say they improve and all of that. So I don't want to, arrive to conclusions with that pre-release unit. But I'll be interested to see if there's a difference between different controllers that are 8,000 hertz polling rate on the CPU utilization, and if my frame rate goes down on the 360 monitor. On this game, I can get 180 FPS, so that's like the drop. It's very demanding on the CPU, so this might be a good game to try that actually, because the GPU is not the bottleneck. That might be a good game. So when I'm getting 180 FPS and I'm CPU bound, then try to go from 8,000 hertz polling rate back and forth to see if that makes a difference. It might be interesting to try. But yeah, you're definitely right. 20% higher CPU performance it's a big penalty for sure. But the original GameSir G7 Pro has better latency at 1000 hertz than this controller, based on Gamepad LA and all other reviewers that I've seen from Chinese reviewer. So for 1000 hertz polling rate, the original G7 Pro is actually better. The sticks on the original G7 Pro are softer, so you have less tension of the sticks, which I don't prefer, especially when using a taller stick. What happens is when you increase the height of the stick, the tension goes down as a consequence. That's just physics. Is what happens. The taller the stick, the less tension you have. So the original G7 Pro with this tall stick feels like you have nothing on the thumb. It's so soft, and that makes it harder to control. I don't like that, but I don't like this tension either. I think it's too low still, but it's fine. But I think I would like it higher. Tension adjustable is the best. So the original is good, but this one is much better, especially wireless. Although there was a firmware update that I couldn't test because I gave away my original G7 Pro that improved the latency with Bluetooth, but Bluetooth is limited to 500 hertz. But now the 500 hertz polling rate Bluetooth latency is actually lower than the 1000 hertz 2.4 dongle latency. I don't know, with the firmware update, so maybe they improve that later and it's the same or better. But the thing is, this controller is better at 8K and than the original G7 Pro at 1000 hertz, and it's not close. Okay, it's not close. I think it's significantly better. The gyro is significantly better. The gyro is not close. Okay, the gyro of this controller is like the best gyro I have seen. And the original G7 Pro gyro was not very usable. I never used it. It was not very good. But the original G7 Pro had the motors on the triggers, and I did like that a lot. Which you don't have that here, so it's kind of a deal breaker. Other than that, the D-pad of the original G7 Pro was loose. It was very bad. And this one, they kind of fixed it. So that would be the biggest difference, I would say. Yeah, but the thing is, look, with this justification that they went with a lower polling rate because of the Steam machine, you can just change the polling rate. So they could have the Steam controller come by default with 250 hertz polling rate, and they have the option to increase it to 1000. I don't see that as a reason to not have the option to go higher. Don't forget that most games don't like polling rate higher than 1000. They stutter like crazy. No, this game doesn't stutter or anything. I play it. I mean, I play it with my F1 and with this controller. It doesn't stutter. I don't know the stream, the SDR. I don't know the settings and what's going on, why that happened. You might need more cores. Yeah, F1 is taking a long time off. I'm gonna email them again. Maybe they forgot about me. which CU is on the PC? What is CU? CPU? Oh, the 9800X3. Yeah. 5090, 9800X3. Got the $10,000 command center that Jensen was talking about. So yeah, let's leave it there, man. I think we've been ranting for a while. Now look. If you watch the stream after you bought the Steam controller in the future, something like that, look, that controller might be great. I'm doing this live stream so it becomes better. Maybe they can do a firmware update, they can increase the polling rate. They should have definitely have clicky triggers, man. I cannot imagine myself playing anymore an FPS game without clicky triggers. All the controllers I have, all of them have clicky triggers. There's not a single third-party controller right now that doesn't have clicky triggers. It's a must. How are you gonna release the controller without that? How much money would cost them to include that? Nothing. So why didn't they do it? Wrong. Okay, we have to call that out. Wrong. No justification to not have a controller with 1000 hertz polling rate and clicky triggers. That is basic, bare minimum. It cannot happen. Okay. So yeah, I feel very strong about that. So yeah, but let's leave it there, man. I think we've done enough. We've done enough for today. I'm gonna go and practice my guitar. You guys, take care. Have a good day. I'm gonna practice now because I have to practice my guitar. But yeah, thanks for stopping by. I think this stream was great. We had sometimes over 60 on the chat though. It's great. I wish I could have more streams like this. But yeah, I feel very strong about this because even when we're talking about splitting hairs, why not? I mean, if you're gonna make something better, see, there's nothing that bothers me more than a product that I know for sure it can be better. It wouldn't cost more or anything, and if it's not because they don't care or because they think people are not gonna know better anyways, they're not gonna care. That's what bothers me. That's why we do this. But yeah, let's leave it there, man. Thank you very much for stopping by, for all your comments. You guys take care and have a good one. Till the next one.